You haven't been to the restaurant for quite a while. Is it very busy in the shop recently? Mag asked with a smile. He found this hard-working lady rather likable, and it felt as though he had half-raised a strong, independent woman. Recently, we rushed out the last batch of winter wear because we aimed to hand them over to our customers before winter ends so that they could at least wear them once this year. Gloria nodded cheekily. It seems like they're all finished, Mag said with a smile. Yes. We've completed them today, so I let the workers and tailors off for a year-end holiday. Gloria nodded with a smile. Therefore, I'm here today to discuss spring wear with you. We have to prepare the first batch before spring. Come on in and have some tea as we discuss. Mag expected her to say that, so he turned to the side to let her in. Gloria took a step forward and quickly paused. She looked up at Mag and blushed slightly. She bit her lip lightly and hesitated to speak. Mag looked at the shy young lady and felt his heart stop for a while. Could she have? No, no. Irina is still sitting in there, waiting to catch me red-handed. If Gloria kicks up any fuss, it will be a mess to clean up. In the restaurant, Irina smiled, but she was smiling rather coldly as her grip on the chair beside her tightened slowly. Gloria brought her hands out from behind her back and passed something to him. She looked down, afraid to meet his eyes, and said softly, "This is a little something from me. Thank you for your help all this while." So it's a present. Mag heaved a sigh of relief. But why did he feel a little disappointed? You're too kind. I shall accept this, then. Mag received the paper bag with a smile. He opened it up and saw a very bright green color. It appeared to be a scarf. Mag's eyelid twitched. He quickly closed the paper bag, afraid that Irina would let her thoughts run wild upon seeing it. I started knitting it when winter started, but I'm clumsy and only finished it today, Gloria said embarrassedly. It's all right. At least I can wear it once before winter ends, Mag said with a smile. He knew how busy Gloria was, but she still took the time out to knit a scarf for him. This consideration was too heavy for him to accept. Gloria smiled upon hearing that. She felt warm inside. She looked back up at Mag with a gentle gaze. Mr. Mag was still as warm as before. "Hubby, who is this lady?" Just then, a voice came from within the restaurant. "Hubby?" Gloria was stunned. She looked into the restaurant and saw an elf in a long, blue dress. She stood up and looked at the two with a smile. What a beautiful elf! Gloria's eyes lit up. There was nothing to criticize from her beautiful features. Her well-tailored dress brought out her voluptuous figure. Even as a woman, Gloria was stunned. But, she just said hubby, what did that mean? Hubby, could it be? Gloria's eyes widened. She noticed the elf's beautiful blue eyes that were as clear as the sky. Little Amy also had the same pair of eyes. She suddenly realized something. This elf was probably little Amy's mother. She was the lady boss who had never appeared in Mamie restaurant and was also never mentioned by Mr. Mag. Gloria suddenly felt as though she was hit by something. She was a little dazed and could even hear a buzz in her ears. What a horrible feeling! So Mr. Mag's wife did not pass away as some rumors had said. She had come back and she was very beautiful. After that, she glanced at the gift bag in Mag's hand and her ears went red. She moved her lips but did not know what to say. She actually gave him a hand-knitted scarf right in front of his wife. "This is Gloria, the owner of Blue Suede Fashion, and my friend. She is also a partner who I work closely with." Mag introduced Gloria. He closed the door and introduced Irina to Gloria, saying, "This is my wife, Caroline." How do you do?" Gloria nodded to Irina. When she heard Mag say wife, she felt her heart shake a little. "You have very nice hair. I often hear Mag talk about you," Irina told Gloria with a smile. She did not look at Gloria with hostility. Instead, she seemed to admire her a lot. Irina would not refuse to admit that Gloria was a very beautiful lady. She had very exquisite features, and although she seemed more mature compared to other young ladies, she was still exuding youthfulness. She had heard Mag talk about Gloria. She grew from being an autistic young girl to a rising star in the business world in just a few months. Irina admired such capabilities. Your looks are even more astounding. Gloria smiled. She had mixed feelings but had already regained composure. Let's sit down and have a chat, Mag said. I suppose Gloria started hesitantly. I shall not disturb your business discussion. Anyway, I intend to go out for a bit. Before Gloria could finish her words, Irina was already making her way to the door. When she was beside Gloria, she even smiled at her and said, have a good discussion and stay for dinner. After that, Irina looked at Mag and said, host her properly. Before they could say anything, Irina walked out of the door, just like the female owner of the house. Mag and Gloria were left behind, standing awkwardly at the door. Take a seat. I've prepared 10 sets for spring wear. Take a look and see if any of them are appropriate. Mag broke the silence and walked toward the counter. Gloria looked at Mag's back and clenched her fist. She walked to the table with the tea set and glanced at the chair that Caroline was sitting on previously. After that, she sat on the chair beside it. Yes, she was here to discuss spring wear with Mr. Mag. Work was more important. Blue Suede was still waiting for this batch of spring wear. Mag came over with a stack of designs. When he saw Gloria sitting on another chair, he smiled. He put away Irina's cup and poured a new cup of tea for Gloria. After that, he unrolled the papers and said, spring is a shorter season and Blue Suede has a limited production capacity. Therefore, I didn't prepare too many designs. She didn't even need to see the exact products, just by looking at the designs on the paper, she was already sure that these 10 sets would be sold out. You are really a genius fashion designer. Gloria looked at Mag and praised him from the bottom of her heart. She didn't conceal the admiration in her eyes at all. He was obviously a very busy man, but he still completed this series of clothes designs so outstandingly. It's just my little hobby. Mag smiled casually. After second thoughts, designing female apparel as a hobby didn't sound very appropriate, so he added, I appreciate female beauty very much. After saying that, Mag felt even more regretful. Isn't that even more inappropriate? However, Gloria didn't seem to find his words inappropriate. Instead, she admired him even more. Not everyone had the eye to discover female beauty, let alone transform such appreciation into beautiful clothes. Mag placed the drawings to the side and poured another cup of tea for Gloria. He also took a sip. Gloria held onto the warm teacup and blew at the steam gently, sitting quietly for a while. Mag drank his tea quietly as he thought about what this lass could be thinking and was about to say something to break the silence. Gloria looked at Mag and suddenly asked, Did your wife just come back? Mag was slightly taken aback. Looking into Gloria's eyes, he nodded. Yes, she just came back today. A smile appeared on Gloria's face. Yes, her guess was correct. She had just returned, and Mr. Mag didn't hide her existence. After all, Mr. Mag never talked about her, but he also never told anyone that he was single and never showed inappropriate behavior to any members of the opposite sex. She is not leaving then? Gloria asked again. This question was a little weird. After thinking for a while, Mag nodded. Yes. She said she's staying. Thank you for the drawings. I will send the samples to you at the restaurant once they are made. Thank you for your hospitality today. Gloria got up and bade him farewell smilingly before leaving with the drawings. Goodbye. Mag sent her to the door and watched her leave the restaurant with light footsteps. A water droplet seemed to fall from her cheek the moment she boarded the horse-drawn carriage. Mag closed the door gradually and pretended not to have seen it. Return to blue suede. Gloria's stuffy voice could be heard from the carriage. The horse-drawn carriage moved slowly. Gloria breathed in hard and wiped away the tear on her cheek. Hugging the drawings in her arms tightly, she mumbled softly, "Let's work. I can't think of anything else as long as I work hard." The news of the return of Mamie Restaurant's lady boss had become the hottest topic amongst the Mamie Restaurant regulars. Boss Mag's persona as the man who the ladies in Chaos City wanted to marry most, crumbled instantly. Many maidens were desolate. Of course, it was mainly the regret of not being able to eat delicious food for free for the rest of their lives. As for the gossip of the lady boss, it had also become everyone's focus. Everyone was curious about why Lady Boss left Boss Mag and little Amy back then. Was there an unspeakable secret? And, why did she suddenly return? Men were always tolerant towards pretty women. While sending their good wishes to Boss Mag because of his family's reunion, they still cursed him inwardly, "Your wife is really not bad." Meanwhile, women were harsher towards beautiful women, but fortunately the strong aura and power that Caroline displayed was enough to stop the gossip. Harrison saw things very clearly and softly analyzed the situation to Georgina. "She's a 10th tier great magic caster and is so beautiful. She is even willing to bear him a child. So, how could Boss Mag not choose her and choose them instead? Is Lady Boss really that beautiful? Does she resemble little Amy?" Georgina asked Harrison expectantly. She was a fan of Amy's looks. She adored little Boss. "She does." Harrison nodded and smilingly said, "I always wondered how Boss Mag could have such an adorable daughter. I only figured it out after I saw Lady Boss today. It had nothing to do with Boss Mag. She's got her mother's looks. So, Boss Mag is the ugliest in their family of 4. Georgina covered her mouth and chuckled. "But even so, Boss Mag is still super charismatic. What about when he's compared to me?" Harrison tilted his head. "He's still a little inferior to you." Georgina hugged his arm and smiled with crescent moon eyes. "That's more like it." Harrison was flattered and he smiled brightly. George carried his little daughter, who was sleeping in his arms with a pacifier in her mouth, and disdainfully said, "Tisk tisk. Look at the goosebumps on my arms. I can't listen to those two anymore." Miranda patted George's shoulders gently and smilingly said, "See how happy they are. How long since you said such words to me?" George turned around and lovingly said to Miranda, who was carrying their youngest son, "If you want me to say it, then my wife is the prettiest in the world." A sweet and shy smile appeared on Miranda's face. Palmer at the side couldn't stand it and said with disdain, "Father, please only say such words at home. Where's Big Sister Amy? I like Big Sister Amy." Parber looked around him, trying to find his target. "The lady boss is indeed back. This is really a terrible news." Vivian hid in the line as she listened to the customers' discussion. She ran away as soon as class was over and deliberately didn't invite Luna to come along with her. She wanted to check out the situation first to see if the rumors were true and if the lady boss was indeed as beautiful as they said. Her heart was resistant, but listening to the customers' discussion, she had to admit that the lady boss might be really beautiful. Long lines formed outside of the restaurant. In the restaurant, everyone was having their dinner. Irina still didn't come because Caroline came instead. The customers are having a heated argument because Lady Boss is back. "Boss, you're indeed at the very top." Babla gave Mag a thumbs up. Mag raised his eyebrows slightly. He had also heard many weird explanations, but he couldn't make a public announcement for such matters. After all, he wasn't a celebrity and had no obligations to tell his customers everything. Hence, he let them guess whatever they like. Mag, who was eating seriously, halted and looked up helplessly. He said with a gentle smile, "This is not your fault. If you have to blame something, blame it on my darned charisma." The restaurant fell into a silence before laughter erupted. The maidens were very accepting of Caroline's return, at least it seemed so right now. Irina did as she had planned perfectly. She didn't take charge, say or do anything. She just stayed put quietly like a beautiful vase. Apart from beautifying the restaurant and adding to the conversation topics, she didn't affect the restaurant's operation in any way. Irina was happy to just be a pretty vase. She only liked the feeling of being the lady boss. She didn't want to take charge of anything in the restaurant. That would be too tiring and boring. Didn't the lady boss just need to look pretty? If she had to take care of everything, she would be just a free employee. The restaurant opened for business and Irina was watching Annie teach the two little ones how to draw with a gentle smile. Amy had no talent in that area whatsoever. She could only draw a little duckling into a roly-poly form like Ugly Duckling. However, it was still adorable even though it was ugly. Her talent wasn't enough, so she wouldn't go far in this area. On the other hand, even though Kiddo sat in front of a little table and struggled to hold onto the pencil as she drew, she was doing a good job. The lines were lively as though they had a soul. The customers streamed into the restaurant and they couldn't help looking at Caroline, who was sitting behind the counter. She was indeed the beautiful elf in the rumors. She was even more beautiful than what they had imagined. Only then did they sit down and place their orders quietly. She's so beautiful. Vivian saw Caroline, who was sitting behind the counter and looking at the children with her head lowered. Vivian's footsteps faltered and she opened her mouth slightly with a shocked expression. She was simply beautiful. Her impeccable looks, gentle temperament, and that beautiful figure that couldn't be hidden even when she was sitting down. She was a natural beauty. Moreover, she had a pair of blue eyes, which were the same as Amy's. Oh dear! Luna has met a strong competitor. Vivian regained her wits. She found a seat and picked up the menu on the table. She was still sneakily looking at Caroline, who was behind the counter. She looked perfect from every angle no matter how she looked at her. Furthermore, the gentle gaze that she used to look at Amy with couldn't be fake. Her mom sometimes looked at her in that similar way too. It was a gaze full of motherly love. Just that point alone had rendered Luna and Amy's teacher and student relationship negligible. Even though she really wanted to help, she could sense the opponent's greatness. The kind of greatness that was crushing and made them feel helpless. How should I tell Luna later? She will feel devastated, right? Sigh. It's all Boss Mag's fault. He already had a wife, why? Why now? He didn't seem to have anything wrong with him either. Sigh. Vivian bit her lips in an agonized dilemma. Georgina entered the restaurant holding Harrison's arm. Her gaze landed on Caroline and her eyes glowed instantly as she softly said, "Is that the lady boss? She's indeed very beautiful. She's indeed little Amy's mother. I didn't lie to you, right?" Harrison said laughingly. Georgina nodded and enviously said, "I'm so envious of Boss Mag. He could fall asleep with one big and one little beauty. He must wake up with a smile every time." Harrison looked at Georgina's tummy ponderingly and said, "In this case, I only lack one little beauty to reach Boss Mag's realm of happiness." Annoying. Georgina hit his chest with a blush. Caroline's return gave the customers more things to talk about, but the majority of the customers came to Mamie restaurant for the food and the alcoholic drinks. The return of the rum already gave the customers another option. The comparatively low price, alongside the excellent quality, made the rum the choice of drink for many customers. Hannah's brewery's output had already caught up, so it was a breeze to supply to both Mamie Restaurant and Titan Tavern. To expand his influence, Mag had begun trying to sell the rum to the public. The customers who spent money in Mamie Restaurant could buy a maximum of 3 bottles of rum when they paid their bills. Not every business dealing could make their customers line up for 1 to 2 hours at a restaurant. But, a good bottle of rum could increase the business success rate. Titan Tavern. The brightly lit tavern was already filled with customers. There were still customers lining up outside waiting to enter. Meanwhile, across the road, Saipan Tavern was equally boisterous. Its business was brisk. In the short 2 months' time, Titan Tavern and Saipan Tavern had become famous taverns in Rodu. Their reputations were excellent. The Titan liquor that had made a comeback after so many years, had both nostalgia and great taste. It was irresistible. What was even more surprising was that Titan Tavern released the rum a few days ago. Even though this rum wasn't by Titan Tavern's boss herself, it was brewed by Old Sim's granddaughter, the famous brewer Hannah from the Fok tribe. Even since Old Sim passed away, the quality of rum on the market had been inconsistent. Many of them were even hard to describe. Even though Hannah was young, she had inherited Old Sim's brewing skills and her rum was actually no less inferior to Old Sim's. Titan Tavern's boss was really formidable. She actually got the exclusive right to sell rum in Rodu. Other than Titan Tavern, no one could find such excellent rum anywhere else. A tavern had the support of 2 great liquors and together with the ever-improving side dishes, Titan Tavern had already become the calling card of Rodu's taverns. And Eofi's name was now famous throughout the tavern's world. As for Saipan Tavern, it was more exclusive. Mao Tai and whiskey were mesmerizing. Although their prices were high, they were still highly sought after by many customers. Moreover, there had been rumors that Saipan Tavern was also managed by Eofi, making people talk about Eofi and the boss of Saipan Tavern even more. Or perhaps. Angela nodded. After that, she looked at Babla with a smile and said, "Are you afraid? Do you want me to sleep with you tonight?" "I refuse." Babla shook her head and looked at Angela cautiously. "Big sister Gina." Angela turned to Gina. Gina glanced at Kiddo, who was sleeping in her arms, and said with a smile, "I'm afraid we can't do that anymore. I have to sleep with Kiddo. Kiddo is so blessed. Big sister Gina's arms are the warmest." Angela looked at Kiddo enviously but still stroked the latter's head endearingly. "Lady Boss looks like a good person. She's pretty and generous, and is good to us," Yabimiya said with a smile. "Yeah, I think so too. She did not order us around the moment she came. Instead, she just sat there quietly and did not affect our work," Shirley agreed with a nod. "Besides, I think she has great charisma. She also felt familiar, like I've known her for a very long time even though it was the first time we met." Ferris exclaimed. The ladies chatted on the way to their dormitory. Irina returned officially as Caroline and did not bring about any impact to the restaurant's operations. The biggest impact she made was probably decreasing the number of young ladies speaking in an overly sweet tone by looking lovingly at Mag. This had lessened Mag's burden significantly. The number of customers coming to the restaurant remained as usual. After all, being pulled back from their dreams to reality would not stop the young ladies from using delicacies to soothe their broken hearts. 10,000 copies of The Little Mermaid were quickly sold out. Mag neither reprinted them in a hurry, nor did he print new picture books for Annie. The Mermaid picture book was so popular that customers would often inquire if it would be reprinted and if Annie had other picture books that she was selling. It was a proven fact that quality picture books would likewise have a very big market. Miss Black Cat was out of stock once again, so Mag reprinted another 10,000 copies of it and sent it to Eofi in Rodu. Chaos City's market could not be compared to that of the Roth Empires. Be it the megacity Rodu, or 10 megacities in the Roth Empire, the demand for quality picture books was humongous. Miss Black Cat had a very good storyline to begin with and Annie's excellent drawings added value to it. One could only imagine how well it would sell. Mag spent some money to buy a little information on the book's sales a couple of days ago. Currently, among the nobilities in Rodu, whether or not you have a copy of Miss Black Cat would determine if you were trendy. There were even many who bought multiple copies to collect. To nobles who had been restricted by various rules, a story about breaking through the chains of one's family and identity to create a whole new world was very attractive. Such stories with a noble lady as the protagonist were really rare compared to the stories told by the storytellers in the market. What a read! Mag chose to buy the copyright of Miss Black Cat with that in consideration. With a clear target audience, there was no need to fret about the sales indeed. The picture books were in high demand. That meant that the Black Cat opera would have its audience too. Mag was preparing to go back to Rodu on his off day a couple of days later. In the coming days, Mag penned down the plot for A Chinese Ghost Story the movie seriously. After careful consideration, Mag changed the female ghost, Xiao Qian, into succubus Xiaoan, the useless scholar into a useless chef, and the mountain devil into the great old ones with multiple octopus tentacles. The plot itself did not change. That was how the love story of a succubus and a chef started. Other than analyzing the script carefully, Mag even made some changes to the photo stone that Babla brought. The photo stone was a very precious and unique stone in the Norland continent. With a simple spell formation, the stone would be able to retain images and play it out, albeit the low quality. However, once a spell is used to retain a new image, the old one would be overwritten. The photo stone had the unique point of being durable. A photo stone could last a very long time despite being used repeatedly. Mag worked with Babla to improve the spell formation placed on the photo stone, allowing the photo stone to have certain filming capabilities. That would increase the photo stone's storage capabilities and allow the photo stone to have the ability to do segment storage. This had already realized the majority of a camera's functions. As for the replaying function, it was largely limited by the photo stone's characteristics. Nothing much could be done to increase the quality of the image. Therefore, Mag added a monitor so that the image could be projected onto the monitor, therefore greatly increasing its clarity. Making a monitor was actually an old technique. All Mag got Babla to do was to improve the spell formation so that the image could become clearer. To beautify it, Mag placed the photo stone into a box player, with a shooting hole. Therefore, a camera was born. Removing the photo stone and placing it into a pre-made section of the player would allow the player to play dynamic images. That would be the DVD player combo. Just with these two things, movies could now make their stunning appearance on the Norland continent. Boss. Do you think it's okay to torture me like this day and night? Babla looked at Mag with resentment. She already had heavy dark eye circles under her eyes. As the princess of the Moon Nation, she actually became the slave of someone, being rushed to come up with spell formations throughout the night, and in the morning, she still had to serve customers. She had never been so tired in her life. Here, here, here. I'll add a giant drumstick for you tonight for supper. Our first finished camera and DVD player set have just come out. You own half of the copyright. If we mass produce it, you will be able to earn a fortune that you could hardly imagine. Mag smiled at Babla as he brought a plate of roast chicken, and a giant roasted drumstick over. Right now, I already own a fortune that most people could hardly imagine. Babla rolled her eyes. She was not attracted to what Mag told her. However, she still bit into the drumstick. Delicious. Babla closed her eyes. The drumstick was roasted until it was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. It hit her straight in the heart. If it was not for the supper over the past few days, she would not have tired herself out like this just to satisfy Mag's odd requests. However, she was rather interested in what Mag called the movie. A story acted out by real people would be saved into the photo stone and then spread to the entire world with the DVD player to make everyone fall in love with the story. What an exciting idea! After supper, Mag let Babla draw spell formations on the 3 sets of equipment before letting her go back for her rest. Mag looked at her gently and said, "Go back to sleep. I'll give you a day off tomorrow and you can sleep for as long as you like." Babla twisted her aching wrists and her eyes lit up when she heard Mag's words. Feeling touched, she said, "Boss, your conscience is finally working. How bad can your boss be?" Mag's smile got increasingly gentle. He opened the door for her. "Go now. Go back to rest in the dormitory. You have worked hard for the past few days." "All right." Babla nodded and turned to walk to the door. However, she suddenly halted her footsteps and turned to look at Mag abruptly. "Boss, is tomorrow an off day?" "Yes." "Have a good rest." Mag closed the door with a smile. Bang! The door was obviously kicked. Fortunately, the door didn't even move. "You evil capitalist!" Babla shouted angrily outside. Looking at the unmoving door, she stomped her feet and went back to sleep in a huff. She was simply too sleepy to be bothered with him. Irina came down in a light white sleeping gown and said to Mag, who was putting away the photo stones on the table carefully, "Did you get Babla to work for you for free again?" "I prepared supper for her." "It's not free," Mag said seriously. "What are you going to do with those things?" Irina looked at the stuff in Mag's hands and asked. Mag had been busy for the past few days. "I intend to make a movie." "Oh, it would be driven by magic, so it should Magvi." Mag pointed his video camera at Irina and pressed the record button. "Magvi? What's that?" Irina asked curiously. "It's to record the scenes with the photo stones and then use a player to play it out." Mag explained simply. "What's so special about that? Isn't that the photo stone's function?" Irina was perplexed. "No. If it's just the recording and playing, it's indeed no difference from the functions of a photo stone. It's simply improving on the functions. Magvi didn't just record the pictures. It's the art form of light and shadow. It had extremely demanding requisites for shooting angles, scenes, and lighting. Of course, most importantly, it's used to tell a story and not to record normal life, just like novels and picture books. It uses pictures to tell a story." After thinking for a moment, Irina said, "For example, using the photo stone to record Miss Black Cat." Mag was surprised at Irina's comprehensive skills. He nodded with a smile. "Yes. That idea is correct. The general idea is to transfer the opera performance of Miss Black Cat from the stage to the real backdrops and let the story take place in a real mansion. Then, photo stones would be used to record the entire performance and turn it into a more realistic story." "This sounds rather interesting." Irina nodded thoughtfully, but she befuddledly said, "So, why do you want to make movies?" "To give a little highlight to the Norland continent's people's boring lives," Mag smilingly said. "Speak properly." "I intend to set up Magvi cinemas in all the big cities on the Norland continent. People have to buy tickets to watch a Magvi. If one ticket could sell for 100 copper coins, a venue that could accommodate 100 people for a Magvi showing could earn 10,000 copper coins. And a Magvi can be played at different cinemas for a long time repeatedly to reap the benefits. And, in the future, more outstanding directors will join in the profession of making Magvis and make this profession even more robust. I, who own the means to play Magvis, will be the biggest beneficiary," Mag said honestly. Of course, he was embarrassed to say that he wanted to become famous. "It's indeed you." Irina looked at Mag with a complex expression. "You can check on the results of our improvements." Mag turned off the camera, took out the photo stone and placed it into a player. He turned on the player and clicked play. Irina's image appeared on the 55-inch player. The clarity is comparable to 1080 HD. Her hair could be clearly seen and the details were very clear, the sounds were in high definition too. It showed my beauty so clearly. Irina looked at the images from the player with shock. It felt like looking at a mirror. This is the charm of technology. Mag revealed a geeky smile. Old Man Me walked into the maestro's office excitedly and said to Vicky, who was writing a script on the desk, "Maestro, our evening show has been sold out for 2 days in a row. And the tickets for tomorrow's morning show are 60% sold. I estimate it will be fully sold out by tomorrow. Calm down. We are an opera troupe with fans now." Vicky looked up at him with an ill-concealed smile. I am simply too excited. Our troupe has never been so famous." Old Man Me chuckled and said to Vicky, "And, Maestro, all of us have just decided not to have a day off every week now. There are so many people who love us, we should do more performances for them. Let's do away with the off day. Vicky turned sullen and said without any hesitation, no. The rule of having a rest day every 7 days is set by me. Everyone has to obey it. Old Man Me didn't expect Vicky to reject it so adamantly. He scratched his head and said, Maestro, we have been poor for a long time and feel that if we neglect so many audience members now, they might not return in the future. That would be horrible. Vicky frowned and said to Old Man Me, all right, everyone should still be awake now. Get them to go to the meeting room now, I need to talk to them. Old Man Me opened his mouth but chose to keep quiet. He answered her and then went out to gather the people. Soon afterwards, the Black Cat Opera members gathered in the meeting room. I have heard about your idea from Old Man Me. Our opera troupe has indeed had a full house recently and you guys are not used to it yet, Vicky smilingly said to all of them. Yes. I was even in a daze when I heard the applause. There was even a maiden grabbing my hand with tears and saying I acted very well when I was getting off the stage. Hey, this feeling is fantastic. Everyone laughed and looked very happy. Yes, Maestro. We've finally gotten famous and there are so many people waiting to watch our performance. We can't wait to get on stage, so we don't need a rest. We have discussed and felt that there is no problem. Everyone nodded and said in unison. Old Man Me opened his mouth and eventually chose to keep quiet. Bam! Vicky suddenly banged the table. The meeting room was deadly silent immediately. Everyone stopped smiling and looked at Vicky in shock and befuddlement. Do you all think there is no problem? Vicky looked at all of them coldly. Her eyebrows were already raised as she coldly said, I think that there is a huge problem. Maestro. Old Man Me said softly. Vicky ignored him and continued on speaking, have you guys forgotten what I have told you in the beginning? An excellent opera actor doesn't have to butter up the audience. You only have to focus on your acting on stage and whether the audience likes it or not is up to them. Are you guys going to lose your original intention because of this little attention? Everyone looked serious. Some of them wanted to speak, but no one was the first to do so. Vicky disappointedly said, ever since I brought you into this trade, I have been telling you that the voice is the actor's life. If you don't let your throat rest as it deserves because you are chasing after the temporary cheers and applause, you will cause the shortening of your vocal cords life. Frankly speaking, I am very disappointed. All of them lowered their heads with shame. Even though they were different ages and most of them were older than Vicky, Vicky was the one who guided them into being an opera actor and was their master. She turned them from the dreamless bottom feeders of society to opera actors who could use their voice and performance to express themselves. Just as Vicky said, she had been warning them about how to protect their throats to prolong their performing lives as soon as they joined the profession. I set the rule of resting 1 day every week to let you guys come back in a better shape to give back to the audience after a day's rest, so that they can get to appreciate a real, full, and outstanding performance. I get what you guys are thinking, but you should clearly know that the audience likes our excellent performance on stage and not the fact that our performances are daily, Vicky said gravely. Every one of them had a thoughtful expression. Old Man Me stepped forward and solemnly promised her. Maestro, we will rest as we planned before and will try our best to give the best opera performance to our audience. Yes. We won't disappoint you. We know that we are wrong. Everyone agreed and didn't dwell on their mistake. Vicky finally smiled and nodded. All right, let's go back to sleep. We still have a performance tomorrow morning. After saying that, she turned and left first. Standing on the tower of the Black Cat Opera House, Vicky looked at the moon that was half concealed by the clouds with a smile. Why are you smiling so doubtfully? Is this all you are capable of? I am getting closer to my dream now, so what's wrong with smiling? I am not only smiling, I am going to laugh too. Ha ha ha. All right. Stop laughing, it's embarrassing. I simply want to laugh. Don't over my mouth. MMM. This is my mouth too, and if I say no laughing, it means no laughing. A weird one-man show took place on top of the tower for a while. Do you think Mag is a little weird? Why so? I think Mr. Mag is a very outstanding person. He's far too outstanding to the point that it's weird. Grandfather said a chosen one will appear in every world every once in a while, and he or she will receive extremely great fortune from the universe. Mr. Mag might be such a being. The fortunate one means being extremely lucky, but his weirdness is in his almost perfect skills. A god of swordsmanship who has become a demigod in a god-forsaken place like the Norland continent, and he actually cooks so well that no chef in this world is his match. Not only that, he can even appreciate opera and is great at being an angel investor and a businessman. His copyright awareness is also way ahead of his time, and his ability of copyright operation is extremely powerful. His ability to drive consumption is even more astonishing, and his methods are as good as a great business operator. In this case, Mr. Mag is indeed a perfect man. Don't be a love-struck idiot. That is some other woman's man. What's the problem? Beauties have loved heroes from the beginning of time. It's tradition. Shut up. I'm not one of those shallow women. But I am. Shut up, shut up, shut up. The tickets for the Miss Black Cat morning show are now on sale. 200 copper coins for one ticket. Please line up in an orderly manner for your purchase. Enter the theater immediately after you purchase your ticket and sit according to your ticket number. One ticket per show. No refund or exchange. Mela stood at the opera house's entrance and yelled. It was only 8 in the morning, but the line in front of the opera house had already reached the door of Titan Tavern. Due to the opera's extreme popularity, the situation of reselling scalper tickets had occurred in the past few days. The 200 copper coins ticket could be sold for 500 copper coins. The profit was even higher than the ticket's original price itself. Hence, Vicky came up with a solution of selling the tickets on the spot and then going into the theater to watch the show immediately to stop the scalpers from reselling the tickets. Of course, the disadvantage of this approach was that the audience who wanted to watch the performance had to line up for a long time in advance. However, Vicky could only think of this method currently. At least, it could ensure the audience who wanted to watch the opera could purchase the ticket with less money. Mela had become the Black Cat Opera's official part-timer, and she was responsible for selling the tickets. She would occasionally go on stage as a small character without any dialogue for fun. Of course, there was one more reason why Mela was enthusiastic about it. She could go backstage when the show was over to learn opera singing from Vicky and the others. Although her talent was just mediocre, Mela had great interest and the opera actors enjoyed teaching her, so she was considered as one of them. She sounded even more enthusiastic when she was selling the tickets. This lass is getting louder. Eofi rubbed her eyes as she opened the window and looked towards the Black Cat Opera's direction disdainfully. She couldn't help curving the corners of her lips upwards when she saw Mela, who was smiling like a Scrooge. Just as she was about to retract her gaze and close the window, it landed on a few figures in the long line. I'd better go greet them. We are business partners after all, Eofi murmured before taking out the most seductive clothes from her wardrobe and started washing up and putting on makeup at the dressing table. The front row ticket is 600 copper coins each. 2 tickets cost 1,200 copper coins. Mela put away the money proficiently and then casually asked, "Next, please. How many tickets do you want and where would you like to sit?" 4 seats in the middle of the 4th row, a voice answered. Mela halted her hands and looked up suddenly at the man standing in front of her. She immediately had a surprise expression. "Master! What brought you guys here?" "Of course, we are here to watch the opera." Mag smiled. "The opera house has finished its renovation and we haven't seen it yet. We happened to be free today, so we came to take a look." "Yes, yes. The new opera house looks so majestic. Amy looked up at the black and grey opera house and nodded. Let's buy the tickets first. The people behind us are waiting to get into the theatre. Mag reminded her smilingly. There would be plenty of time after the opera was over to talk. They couldn't affect the viewing experience of the customers behind them. All right. 4 tickets. Please hold on to them. Mela tore off the corners of the 4 tickets and gave them to Mag. This is the money for the tickets. Mag gave her 2 gold coins and 4 silver coins before bringing the children into the theatre. The renovated theatre became a huge 3-story building. Accurately speaking, it should be 2.5 stories. They entered through a passageway that had bright lights on both sides. The hall on the first floor was about 10 meters tall and looked more majestic than the previous circus building. The giant stage had its curtains drawn and its lights were dimmed. And, the auditorium that rises in steps and the single-row seats gave Mag a sense of familiarity. He wasn't involved in the opera house's design. It should be led by Vicky. He was rather surprised that the 5 million budget could attain such a standard. There were obvious numbers on the seats and there were even staff members guiding the audience to their seats according to their numbers. At the same time, they prevented some unnecessary conflicts. It's here. Mag found their seats and sat down. He looked around and discovered that the majority of the audience had already taken their seats and most of them chose to sit in the front rows. Amy leaned against the soft fabric chair and smilingly said, "The chair has become even more comfortable. It should be even better for sleeping." "It's indeed not bad." Mag also leaned back against the soft chair as he sized up the details in the opera house. 2 large windows were open at the back of the audience seating. They looked like they could be closed with 2 metal plates and they provided ample lighting for the theatre when they were open. Together with the lighting on both sides of the stage, they gave the audience a comfortable seating experience before the show started. It was very comfortable to look at the stage from the 4th row, but Mag could see that this opera house's design was very professional. Vicky might have gotten external help in designing it, so the viewing experience at the back row wouldn't be too bad either. After sweeping his gaze across the whole audience once, Mag saw a familiar figure at the side when he was about to retract his gaze. What is he doing here again? Mag looked at the man wearing a cape with an amused smile. Although he was nicely camouflaged, Mag still recognized him as the maestro of Maca Opera, Pascal, at the first glance. This fellow was tossed out by Vicky previously. He didn't expect him to sneak back in again today. Did he come to make trouble? Or, was he here to make peace? Pascal looked around him and pressed the cape's hood on his head even lower. Only his eyes were revealed as he sized up his surroundings warily. He didn't want to come here either. Who would want to come here and be humiliated if it wasn't for the pressures of life? After young Master Bobby's heart was broken by Vicky that day, he couldn't eat or sleep after he went back and he soon fell ill. And somehow, his family found out about the incident and blamed it on him. They wanted him to return all the money that he got from Bobby earlier. Due to their difference in statuses, he had no way to resist at all. Not only did he lose the money that Vicky used to buy back the actors, he even mortgaged the theatre. They would be chased out if they couldn't raise the money within 2 weeks. He already had enough of wandering around when Maca Opera was still the Maca Circus. Now that he finally had his own opera house, he wasn't going to give it up so easily. However, he had only ever met one rich friend, which was Bobby, all these years. The rest were not even close to him, so no one would lend him hundreds of thousands of copper coins. He could only think of Vicky now. He looked down on the Black Cat Opera back then, but now he was no longer good enough for them. This opulent theatre was way better than Maca Opera. The 200 copper coins and above ticket price made him even more jealous. What made him even more envious was, the Black Cat Opera still ensured that every performance was sold out even when the ticket price was so high. At least, it was the case right now. This meant that the Black Cat Opera could earn over 300,000 in ticket prices alone for every show. There were 3 shows per day, which meant they could earn almost 1 million copper coins. Pascal's Adam's apple moved. How wealthy was that? He only managed to get 1 million copper coins from Bobby after buttering up to him for so long. Meanwhile, Black Cat Opera could earn over 1 million daily. His motive today was very simple. He wanted to see if the audience were really rich and let Vicky acquire Maca Opera. Pascal felt that he had already humbled himself by coming here today. He decided to give Vicky a chance to acquire his opera troupe. As a condition, he wanted half of the Black Cat Opera's proprietary rights. Of course, as the party being purchased, he would relegate himself to the position of deputy maestro and let Vicky be the maestro. Pascal couldn't help but laugh out loud when he thought of how he was going to become one of the bosses of the opera troupe that earned over 1 million copper coins daily. His laughter attracted the attention of the staff members that were guiding the audience to their seats nearby. A staff member approached him and smilingly said, "Excuse me, sir. Could you please remove your cape? Your cape is too tall. It will obstruct the view of the audience behind you and affect their viewing experience." "I see." The staff member had a hesitant look as he said in a low voice, "Please hold on for a while. Let me ask the maestro how we should handle this." Then, he turned and left quickly. Yeah. Pascal panicked instantly. He almost jumped up as he watched the staff member walk away quickly. It's over now. The staff member should be a new recruit and didn't know him, but if Vicky came over, she would see through his camouflage at the very first glance. The wound that was caused by Vicky previously had just recovered. He didn't want to antagonize that woman again. However, when he looked around the 80% full theater, the audience were mainly the rich and famous in Rodu. Even if Vicky was annoyed with him, she most probably wouldn't hit him in this situation. Moreover, he came to negotiate with Vicky today. It was fine to meet her now. Mag watched this scene with great interest. He was also curious about why this fellow came to the Black Cat Opera House today. Soon after, Vicky, who had already changed into the black Lolita dress, walked out from backstage and walked to Pascal's seat under admiring gazes. "That is the maestro of Black Cat Opera. Mommy, is she Miss Black Cat? She's so pretty. She looks exactly like the picture book. Her dress is so pretty. Hubby, I want one too." Sure. I'll custom make one for you when we go back." The audience were talking among themselves. They didn't expect to see the main lead before the show started. Even though she didn't appear on stage, her presence still managed to wow them. Looking at the audience member that was huddling in a corner under a black cape, Vicky frowned slightly. However, she gently said, "Sir, if you have photophobia, could you change into a shorter cape? In that case, it won't affect the audience behind you." Pascal looked at the cape that Vicky was holding and pondered for a while before saying in a low voice, "No, I can't see bright light. I can only wear my own cape. I can't wear others' capes." Vicky's eyebrow jerked up as soon as that person spoke. Her gaze became razor sharp as she coldly said, "You indeed can't see the light. I think you have forgotten about your pain after your wound healed. You came here for a beating again." The audience members around them all had a curious expression when they heard Vicky say that. It seemed like the maestro of Black Cat Opera knew this audience member. However, the way she spoke was really very Miss Black Cat. Pascal broke into a cold sweat under the cape, but he still said in a shrill voice, "Is this how you Black Cat Opera members treat your audience? I've bought a ticket. Why you guys are bullying me? Ha! If you were a real audience member, we would naturally welcome you. However, we always have our sticks ready for those bastards who come to make trouble." Vicky said to the staff member coldly, "Throw him out. Our Black Cat Opera doesn't welcome him." Two staff members picked Pascal up on both sides and dragged him out as soon as Vicky finished talking. "Wait a sec. Wait a sec." Pascal kicked his stubby legs around in the air as he shouted, "Maestro Vicky, I didn't come to make trouble. I really came to see the performance and to discuss a business deal with you." Vicky looked at him coldly with ill-concealed disgust in her eyes. I'm not interested in discussing any business deals with you. I don't wish to say one more word to you either. This is an one-in-a-lifetime chance. You will never get this chance again if you miss it. Pascal grabbed onto a seat back. His face flushed bright red because he was using all his strength. He said in a hoarse voice, I'm willing to merge my Maca opera with your Black Cat opera. You'll be the maestro while I'll be the deputy maestro. We will be called Black Ma Opera in the future and we will be so famous. We have the best opera actors in Rodeux who could make your performance even fuller. You can't find that anywhere else. Maca opera? Is there another opera troupe in Rodeux? I thought opera was a very new thing. Seems like I'm being ignorant. I know about that Maca opera. Their performance is so boring, but it's great at putting people to sleep. I'll go watch them whenever I have insomnia. I'll fall asleep very quickly. Then speaking from the point of functionality, it's not bad. The audience members discussed among themselves. They were very interested in their argument. Mag felt like laughing when he heard that. This Pascal was really daydreaming. He actually dared to ask Black Cat Opera for a merger and wanted to be the deputy maestro shamelessly. There were no professional opera actors in Maca opera at all. They were all fooling around. They learned some songs somewhere and just murmured them on stage. They could put the audience to sleep very quickly, so the audience didn't know what they saw in the end. However, his courage was admirable. He would most probably be thrown out by Vicky. Vicky was so furious that she laughed when she saw Pascal holding onto the seat tightly. You said you want us to merge with your Maca opera? And, let you be the deputy maestro? Vicky asked Pascal. Yes, yes, yes. I have already compromised a lot. It's enough to show my sincerity. Pascal quickly nodded and smilingly said, think about it, I have been in Rodeux for over 20 years. I know many people, from the rich and powerful to the ordinary folks. Why do you think people accept opera so readily? It's all due to my Maca opera's hard work that your Black Cat opera has success today. Now, our Black Ma opera is just starting out. It will go even further if you let me operate it. Now, even the audience members were astonished by his thick skin. Obviously, they came after reading the famous Miss Black Cat picture book. What has it got to do with that Maca opera? It seemed like that fatty under the cape was indeed here to make trouble. Throw him out. If he is still grabbing onto the seat, break whichever finger is grabbing onto the seat, Vicky said coldly before heading to the backstage without a backwards glance. The two staff members, who were initially helpless towards Pascal, reached out for him. The audience lining up to go in were all looking at him perplexedly. This is a thief who got caught in the act. Please be careful, everyone. The staff member explained seriously. The people in the line all started to cover their money bags and began to look at Pascal with a wary and disdainful gaze. Pascal. Even a staff member who was responsible for the tickets in Black Cat Opera was so natural in acting. After he said that, Pascal was already labeled as a thief. Rather than staying here and embarrassing himself, he could only stand up and sneak away. Cool. Is this an Easter egg? Miss Black Cat is so suave, yes. If this is acting, it's so natural. If it's real, then I love her character. I already began to look forward to this opera performance. I heard that the story Miss Black Cat is created by the maestro of Black Cat Opera. Seems like she's a person with more stories too. Vicky's swift handling not only didn't antagonize the audience, instead she gained the audience's liking and raised everyone's anticipation. This girl is smart, Irina said laughingly. Her brain indeed spins very fast. I suspect it's driven by a dual core, Mag also answered with a smile. Dual core? Irina looked at him perplexedly. That is. Mag thought about how to answer this question. Mr. Hades, are you guys here to watch the opera too? What a coincidence. We happen to be sitting next to each other too, a sultry voice said at that moment, and Eofi, who was wearing a long red dress, sashayed over. Eofi had a great figure and she was wearing a fitting long dress. Her wavy hair was let loose and she looked sultry when she walked over. She instantly attracted many men's attention. Who is this beauty? She seems to be the lady boss of that Titan tavern across the street. This woman is so pretty. Let me check her features out. Many men were already tempted. However, Eofi didn't care about those heated gazes at all. She walked over to Mag and his family smilingly and sat on the empty seat next to him. I happen to be free today, so I came to watch a performance at the new theatre. Mag nodded slightly. You haven't watched a show here yet either. Of course, there was no such coincidence. It must be Mela that gave Eofi the ticket next to them. Irina looked at her with a mysterious smile, as though she had already seen through her tricks. I have watched it before, but I was feeling bored in the morning, so I came over to take a look. Eofi smoothed her hair and greeted Irina and the two children. Amy curiously asked Eofi, who wasn't wearing a jacket, "Big sister Eofi, don't you feel cold?" Eofi didn't feel cold initially, but after Amy asked that, she couldn't help shivering. I am not cold. I feel rather warm today. Eofi shook her head with a smile. She wasn't going to lose her pride. How's the tavern's business recently? Mag asked Eofi. Ever since getting the Rums dealership, Titan Tavern's number of customers is still increasing. I'm already planning to expand the tavern's space. Eofi didn't know which tavern Mag was asking about, so she continued on. Saipan Tavern's number of customers is very stable. It's fully packed from the start to the end of operation. Thank you for your hard work during this time. Mag nodded slightly. Eofi must have been very busy trying to increase the number of customers in her own tavern while managing Saipan Tavern at the same time. I don't feel tired as I'm working for myself, Eofi answered nonchalantly. However, the Miss Black Cat picture book is really selling very well. The 10,000 copies that have just arrived will be sold out very soon. Many audience members buy the picture book after watching the opera, Eofi said. Compared to the tavern's business, selling the picture books let her see what was a real windfall. She was very envious of the 2 million daily earnings. This is the charm of linkage. Mag smiled. The opera's market, opened up by the picture book, finally gave back to the picture book with its great quality. As the influence of Miss Black Cat expanded beyond Rodu, it would be expected to create more growth for the picture book. You are such a genius at promotion, Eofi said to Mag with admiration. Be it getting the Gold Award and instantly turning Saipan Tavern into a famous tavern in Rodu when it was first set up, or using the picture book to expand Black Cat Opera's sales, he had demonstrated amazing tactics. All these are just tricks. If we don't have great quality, promotion will be useless too. Mag shook his head slightly. He didn't feel very proud. Many people were envious of Mag as he chatted with Eofi. After all, Eofi, the great beauty, was giving him a lot of attention, while another lady, who looked like his wife, sat next to him and was equally ravishing. In fact, she was even more beautiful than Eofi. They were really envious of his luck with the ladies. Mag sensed some jealous gazes, but he was already used to it. There was always some pressure whenever Irina was next to him. Fortunately, even though Eofi was wearing tight-fitting clothes, she was still behaving properly, so it prevented the occurrence of unhappy scenes. Soon, the theatre was fully packed. After the two staff members confirmed all the audience members had taken their seats, they signaled to everyone that the performance was going to start. The metal plates for the two windows behind slowly lowered and the theatre turned dark gradually. The lights on the stage came on and together with a loud chorus, the curtains on the stage were slowly pulled up and the performance began. Mag watched this opera performance seriously. The stage backdrop had become more exquisite and their costumes were the ones that he custom-made for them. Together with the actors' great acting and beautiful singing, this opera was rather professional. The actor's great acting and the story of Miss Black Cat fighting against her fate and the restraints of her identity, breaking out of the cage and gaining a new life, got the audience immersed in the story. Some could be even seen wiping away their tears. No one left during the 2-hour performance. When the bell at the end of the performance rang, everyone stood up and clapped for a long time. Mag clapped as he looked at Vicky, who was leading the actors in a bow, smilingly. This is the real opera performance. They're my friends. A voice spoke up behind them. Vicky walked over to them with a smile. She said to Mag, "Mr. Hades, long time no see." "Maestro." The staff member nodded at Vicky before leaving. Mag remembered that they had just met a few days ago, but he still praised her with a smile. "The theatre is great and the performance is great. You guys are indeed worthy of the title of the best opera troupe on the Norland continent. It's pointless to fight for the #1 position with an opera troupe like Maca Opera." Vicky shrugged. With a brighter smile, she said, "Let's go to my office." "All right." Mag nodded and they followed Vicky to her office. Vicky gave the 2 little ones some snacks and let them play at the side as they ate. Then, she greeted Irina formally before sitting across from Mag. "I didn't expect you guys to have a full house so soon. You're indeed wise to choose taking the money to renovate the theatre first," Mag said with a smile. "Is that so? I'm feeling very regretful now. If I chose to keep part of the picture book sale, my earnings would have been much higher than the one-time price, right?" Vicky said smilingly, but there was no sign of regret on her face. "That's true. Miss Black Cat picture book will most likely become a classic. Let's set a small target of selling 1 million copies first." Mag nodded seriously. Vicky's expression froze. Now, she was really feeling her heart ache. Mag continued speaking, "Oh yes. I'm here today to talk to you about the copyright of the Miss Black Cat Magvi." "Magvi?" Vicky looked puzzled. "I'll be using the photo stones to make Miss Black Cat into a moving picture later and I'll charge a fee to play it. This is your story after all, so I intend to get your permission first." Mag explained. "T-hat. Isn't that a movie?" Vicky exclaimed. "So, Underground City is also calling it a movie," Mag was thoughtful. It seemed like the development of technology had a commonality. "What's a movie?" Mag asked instead. Vicky murmured. She was shocked by Mag's advanced thinking. After all, this world didn't even have electricity and the steam engine was still at its initial stage of development and not commonly used yet, but Mag actually wanted to make movies. Moreover, most importantly, he had found the winning point: watching movies for a fee. Wasn't that equivalent to building cinemas? Cinemas still existed in the underground city's 5th-tier cities, while the common holographic capsules had already taken over in the 1st-tier and 2nd-tier cities. Furthermore, some holographic glasses could even provide a better viewing experience than normal cinemas. However, if they were talking about building cinemas on the Norland continent, that was simply ridiculous. Even though we could use the photo stones to record and store some content, the content isn't clear enough and the shooting methods and angles are limited. We could only shoot from one angle from the start to the end, and there's no room for mistakes in the process. Vicky said and suddenly realized it was very suitable to record the opera's live performances. They only had to position the photo stone at the best spot in the audience seats and record the opera from the start to the end. There was no need for editing or worried about the camera angle. However, this was an opera, not a movie. I have got professionals to modify a set of equipment. This is the shooting equipment. The photo stone's recording effect is enhanced and we can control the recording and pausing precisely. This is the playback device. Place the photo stone into the slot and it can read the recorded content. It can also do simple editing. It can cut the sections you need and paste them together. Vicky was already in a daze when she saw Mag take out the equipment and start explaining. Do you need to be that hardcore? Never mind about getting a set of shooting equipment, but do you need to get the playing device and the editing software too? Moreover, this is magic? Magic. She felt that she needed to speak out these words. The current equipment is still very primitive, but it's enough for simple recording. Mag looked at Vicky, who couldn't close her mouth for a long time, with a smile and tapped on the player. The screen on the player was showing a simple skit of Ugly Duckling and Black Coal, the parrot in the magic potion shop. The content was negligible, but Mag had demonstrated the practical functions and techniques of scene switch, camera work and editing. Vicky was quiet for a long time after watching it. Then, she seriously asked Mag, I have two thoughts right now. What are they? You are a super genius, or, you have escaped from Underground City too. Vicky stared into Mag's eyes, as though she wanted to see through him. Which one do you think I am? Mag looked into her eyes smilingly. After pondering seriously for a while, she said, the former. Why are you so sure about that? If you came from Underground City, you would have even more and better replacement plans. Secondly, if you were from Underground City you would only avoid me and not bring these things to me, Vicky said, you are a genius in many areas. Would I look hypocritical if I am too polite? Yes. Then, do you think this set of equipment could transfer Miss Black Cat from the opera stage into the Magvi? Mag asked smilingly. Do you intend to shoot an opera Magvi, or turn the opera into a drama form? I think a dramatized performance would be more popular than an opera, Mag said. Vicky thought seriously before nodding. If you really want to shoot Miss Black Cat, I have 3 requests. Please speak. First of all, I get to choose the actors. Secondly, I will be the scriptwriter. Finally, I'll be the director too, Vicky said. Good fellow. She wanted to be the scriptwriter, director, and actor at the same time. All right. Mag agreed without even thinking. It's so easy. Vicky was stunned. Actually, I don't understand these aspects very well. It definitely would be better if I hand this to the professionals, Mag smilingly said. Furthermore, I can guarantee that I will only provide the money and not interfere with the process of filming. This was indeed an excellent investor. Vicky looked at Mag with a brighter gaze. Then, can we begin to talk about the division of profits now? Or, would you like to sell the rights this time as well? Mag continued to ask. Upon hearing that, Vicky was stunned and she hesitated. She knew that Mag was not lying. Even in the underground city where movies were around for thousands of years, there were still many directors making losses with every movie they made. To make a movie in the Norland continent, especially when cinemas did not exist, was unthinkable. Only Mag would dare to do something like that. I would also like to remind you that I am intending to develop this industry to provide a venue for Magvi showings. Therefore, my initial films would be mostly to open up the market. I can't guarantee the box office sales, Mag continued. Vicky knew that Mag was speaking the truth and he was very sincere and truthful. The opera troupe is no longer lacking money. Therefore, I can pump in some money for my dreams too. I don't want a lump sum of money. I just want 30% of the box office sales in the future, Vicky told Mag with a smile. Deal. Mag nodded. He did not bargain. This share ratio was rather similar to that of the film industry in his previous life. However, as the investor, issuer, and advertiser, this ratio was rather disadvantageous to him. But Mag was not lacking in money and the return on investment was worth it. Oh, right, can I have a small request? Mag asked. What is it? I want to add a little character and an actor in Miss Black Cat, Mag said. Vicky frowned. He just said that he would not interfere with the movie's production. However, she still asked, what character? Who are you adding? A chef, me, Mag said with a pat on his chest. You want to act in the movie? Vicky was a little shocked. However, she was very soon in a dilemma. It's difficult to change this story to Miss Black Cat eloping with a chef. Mag. I don't want to be the male lead. I just want to be a kale fair. Mag shook his head. I don't need too much screen time. Just give me enough time to make a dish. I want to teach people how to make it. I see. Vicky blushed. She realized she seemed to have misunderstood him. After thinking for a while, she said with a nod, I can consider that. However, I can only decide if I can add the scene after seeing how you perform in front of the camera. She was a very strict director who would not give in to the investor of the film. Mag nodded with a smile. Sure, no problem. Who is he? Mag Alex, and Hades, the winner of the Best Actor award who could jump between 3 characters anytime, anywhere. He would not have to worry about performing in front of the camera. This MOV, Magv, how much do you intend to invest in it? Vicky asked. This Magv would not require a large setup or special effects, so I doubt it would require a large capital. I intend to invest 10 million copper coins, Mag said. Vicky thought for a while and nodded in agreement. That would be enough. She knew very well that building a cinema in the Norland continent would be a task that required huge funding. Other than this, I actually have another script that I would like you to write for me. Mag pulled out a stack of papers and pushed it to Vicky. Phantom of Cookery. Vicky looked at the tacky name on the cover. She raised her brow. This looked like a popular novel sold at roadside stalls. She picked up the document and flipped through it. As she read, she slowly looked absorbed and her eyes lit up with excitement, as though she was holding a treasure. About 20 minutes later, Vicky put the document down. She looked at Mag and asked, Who wrote this story? Yours truly. Mag smiled. Vicky looked intensely at Mag as she exclaimed, Although you don't write very well, the narrative is a mess and the emotional changes in the plot are awkward, this is a very good story. The facial muscles on Mag's face twitched. He was not sure whether to be happy hearing this praise. He was the one who wrote the story, penned the narrative, and even changed the emotions in the plot. Only the story was not his. This wench is rather spot on. Vicky also realized that her words did not sound very pleasant. She explained, What I mean to say was, this is a very good story. Its flaws could not hide its beauty. Even if it's adapted into an opera, it would be a sellout. I want you to help me to write this story into a Magv script. Of course, as compensation, I can give you the copyright of this story without anything in return, Mag said. Really? Vicky's eyes lit up. All the cooperation that we've discussed today will be written down and signed as a contract. Mag nodded. Deal. Vicky nodded decisively. She was racking her brains recently over a new story for her opera. Mag's story was a breath of fresh air. The love-hate relationship between a human chef and a succubus, with the dryad, the great old ones, and other elements interjected into the story was a very dramatic yet trendy plot. Vicky felt that this story might even be better than Miss Black Cat. What's more, this story was an absolute fit to be aired on the big screen. The Dryad and the Great Old Ones could be made through magic special effects and they could bring an even greater visual impact to the audience. You're not intending to play the chef yourself, are you? Vicky asked Mag. I am. Mag nodded truthfully. This was a movie he made for himself. The female lead. Vicky bit her lower lip. She looked as though she had made a big decision as she said, I already have someone in mind for the female lead. Mag interrupted with a smile. He glanced at young Vicky's itty-bitties and said, You're still young and small, you're not suitable for such roles. Vicky. She was indeed still young and small, but she felt that Mag was referring to something else that was small. Oof. She was so mad she wanted to tear the draft in her hands to shreds, but she could not bear to do such a thing to such a great story. Her face twisted with rage and she clenched her teeth as she said with a nod, All right, I'll take this story. I intend to shoot this story first, so I'll leave the script to you. I hope that I can see the initial draft of the script when I'm back at the theatre 7 days later, Mag said with a smile. 7 days? Vicky almost jumped. Did this fellow think that everyone is a tentacle monster? When she gets stuck, she could not even churn a single word out. All right. I'll give you the script in 1 week's time. Vicky still forced herself to agree. To Vicky, altering the script was also something she had to do right now. The opera's script and the movie's script were not very different. Although there would be some changes in the lines and the changing of scenes, it was overall the same. Although she wasn't a movie scriptwriter, she learned plenty of movie knowledge when she was learning to be an opera scriptwriter. It shouldn't be too difficult to change the story with a complete framework and proper characters. All right. It's decided then. Mag nodded and got up to leave. You're not staying for lunch? Vicky tried to keep him. No, thank you very much. I promised Eofi to eat lunch at her place. Mela is cooking. Mag shook his head and asked, do you want to come too? Sure, Vicky answered very naturally. Even though Mag wasn't cooking, Mela's culinary skills weren't too bad. At least, it was better than the theater's meals. Mag and the ladies arrived at Titan Tavern. Mela had already placed a few dishes on the table. They were the pig ears salad, drunkard peanuts, and pig tongue salad. Good fellow. They were all side dishes for drinking. Master, come and eat. I have already cooked all the dishes, Mela said to Mag expectantly. She had been practicing hard on her culinary skills. She wanted to demonstrate them to Mag. I think I'll go cook 2 more dishes. We can't just drink without proper food. Mag walked to the kitchen reluctantly. It seemed like this lass could only serve these 3 dishes. That's great. Vicky sat by the table. She thought she wouldn't be able to eat Mag's cooking today. She didn't expect him to cook a few dishes. Then, I'll go take a look too. I can learn more skills at the same time too. Mela went into the kitchen with a blush. She actually knew how to cook a few more simple homely dishes, but she didn't want to embarrass herself, so she only served her best dishes. Amy discovered a copy of Miss Black Cat on the counter with surprise and said to Annie, "Big sister Annie, look. It's your pictures." Annie noticed the picture book too and she smiled. Eofi came over and placed her hands on Annie's shoulders gently as she said with amazement, "Annie, you're so awesome. Many people loved your picture books. They all said they were fantastic and were collectibles." "Thank you," Annie said with sign language. Vicky also came over to say to Annie, "Many people asked me if the picture books are drawn by me. If you decide to hold a signing session, I think many fans will come to support you." This quiet girl had such amazing power with her pens. Even though she had created the story of Miss Black Cat, Annie recreated it again in another format. The storyboard, tempo, simplified lines. All these things demonstrated Annie's abilities. She transported a story that was being sung on stage, into a picture book with squares and found the perfect balance point. Vicky even thought that if this picture book was being sold in Underground City, it would also be very popular with picture book collectors there. She had considered discussing with Mag about buying the Underground City's distribution rights from Annie and publishing it in Underground City. Annie only shook her head gently when she heard that and said with sign language, "I like to draw, but I don't like to interact with too many people." Vicky nodded smilingly. It's not wrong to concentrate on just creating. The rest are simply extras. Irina sat at the side leisurely and watched the whole process quietly. She was only watching Vicky and Eofi with interest. Eofi sensed Irina's gaze and sat across from her smilingly. "What have you been busy with lately, madam?" Irina smilingly said, "I've been busy traveling around." He likes to wander around, so sometimes we'll go watch the stars in the mountains, or sometimes we'll go to the beach. It is interesting, but it can be tiring at the same time. Eofi's eyelids twitched and she felt hurt. She had her hands full every day, worrying about the 2 taverns. Yet, this couple still felt tired when they only traveled around to see the starry sky and enjoy the sea breeze at the beach. Irina said to Eofi with a concerned expression, "There are a few fine lines at the corners of your eyes now. Did you rest properly recently? We women have to worry less and sleep early. That way you can maintain yourself to look as good as me." "Fine lines? Really? Where are they?" Eofi instantly panicked when she heard that. She took out a small mirror immediately and looked at the corners of her eyes. The dark corners did indeed have a few fine lines. Even though they were not obvious, they were still there. Eofi's expression turned severe instantly. As a confident woman, she always felt that she was still far from using the word old. However, the fine lines at the corner of her eyes seemed to be reminding her that she was slowly getting older. Looking at Irina sitting across from her again, her skin was still so fair and smooth. Don't even talk about fine lines, she couldn't even find a mark on her. Who could tell that Irina was already the mother of 2, while she was still a virgin? "It's fine, big sister Eofi. It's just one tiny fine line. There will be more later and you'll get used to it." Amy consoled her understandingly. Eofi opened her mouth but she was actually at a loss for words at that moment. However, she still felt a little sad after she put away the mirror. Time flies and beauty fades. Only women knew how important a beautiful body was. Irina, who looked amused initially, stopped smiling when she saw Eofi being down. After thinking for a short moment, she took out a small bottle and passed it to Eofi. "This is..." Eofi received that exquisite bottle and looked at Irina perplexedly. "This is a small bottle of the spring of life. Dab a little at the corners of your eyes before you sleep daily, and your fine lines should improve," Irina answered. "Is it true?" Eofi's eyes flicked open wide and she grasped the little bottle tightly, as she was afraid to drop it. However, she seemed to quickly realize something and passed the bottle back to Irina with both hands. "Isn't the spring of life the holy water of the elves? I can't accept such a precious item." "But if you think the fine lines at the corners of your eyes are nothing, then forget it." Irina looked at her calmly. Eofi's hands that were holding onto the bottle froze in midair and she looked at Irina before looking at the bottle again. Finally, she couldn't accept watching herself turn old, so she accepted the spring of life and gratefully said to Irina, "From now on, you are my real big sister." "What kind of real big sister?" Irina looked at her with a seemingly harmless smile. Eofi murmured. "Sworn sisters?" Or, her gaze drifted towards the kitchen. "It didn't seem bad to have the same husband, right? Shameless." Eofi spat at herself. Irina had just given her the spring of life and yet she was lusting after her husband. She was no different from a vixen. "Big sister will make the decision," Eofi said with a blush. Mag heard the conversation outside and flicked a glance at Eofi. "Why are you blushing? Is this some kind of beauty serum?" Vicky interjected curiously. She stared at the little bottle in Eofi's hands curiously. Even though she was still a maiden and didn't have to worry about turning old, as a girl, she was naturally curious about things that would make her pretty. "There are some effects." Irina nodded. "But I use it to wash my face daily and I don't feel anything special." Eofi looked at Irina with complicated emotions. This lady was really a humble bragger. She used the spring of life to wash her face daily? Even the aristocrats in Rodu didn't dare to say they did that. How rich was she? Eofi couldn't help feeling curious about Mag's net worth. The tavern he casually opened became the #1 restaurant in Rodu and earned hundreds of thousands daily. The picture book he casually released earned another tens of millions. Most importantly, he didn't have to worry about doing all these things himself. Furthermore, he had bought half of Romo Street at the lowest price. Now, with the 2 taverns and 1 opera house, the whole street came back to life. The property prices increased and he easily earned another few hundreds of millions. The way a genius earned money was always hard to fathom. Even now, she still couldn't figure out if Mag had intended to speculate in properties from the very beginning, and opening a tavern and helping the opera house were simply part of the plan. Then, she was even more envious of Irina's life. She was a carefree rich lady. She only needed to think about where to spend money when she woke up every day, and she used the spring of life to wash every day. This life was simply beyond imagination. This is the elves' holy water. I heard it has very formidable healing effects. It's something that you can't even buy with money. Eofi explained to Vicky. I see. Vicky was thoughtful. She knew Mag and Irina were a couple, so it wasn't surprising that this elven princess had plenty of the spring of life. May I buy some of the spring of life from you, madam? Vicky asked Irina. She wanted to keep some of this good stuff as a backup. I'll give you a bottle. Irina gave her a bottle of the spring of life generously too. Thank you. Vicky accepted the spring of life and opened the cap to sniff it immediately. The rich life aura washed over her and refreshed her. Her tiredness was all washed away. What a potent invigorating effect! Vicky's eyes lit up. This was a miracle drug for refreshing and clearing the mind after pulling an all-nighter. She was already prepared to pull all-nighters this whole week. However, even when she had great health, it was hard to avoid feeling tired in the daytime when pulling all-nighters. If she could have a few bottles of this spring of life, then she wouldn't have to worry at all. She looked at Irina and realized she wasn't very familiar with her, so she really couldn't make herself ask her for it. Hence, she sneaked into the kitchen with the spring of life and hinted to Mag this spring of life's invigorating effects are really not bad. If I can have a few sips when I write the script every night, I should be able to write for the entire night, right? Pity, this seems to be very little. Mag glanced at her and curved his lips. However, he seriously said, actually, there is a better physical method to refresh yourself. What is that? Vicky asked. Tie your hair onto the ceiling's beam, and if you doze off at night, your hair will be pulled. Pain is the best invigorating method, Mag replied. I refuse. Vicky caressed her hair. She treasured her hair, so there's no way she would tie it to the beam and let it be pulled. Mag smiled silently. After receiving Irina's gift, Vicky and Eofi's attitude towards her improved greatly and they became obviously closer. The three ladies sat together and chatted harmoniously. Mag stir-fried 3 simple home-cooked dishes, which were made from the leftover ingredients in the kitchen. 1 stir-fried vegetables, 1 drop egg soup, and 1 stir-fried pork with spring bamboo shoots. Mela carried the dishes from the kitchen, following after Mag. She was looking at Mag with admiration. The simple ingredients blossomed in Mag's hands. All right. Let's tuck in. Mag removed his apron and sat down. Everyone took their seats too. Let me taste Mela's dishes first. Mag picked up a drunkard peanut with the chopsticks and popped it into his mouth under Mela's anticipated gaze. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The peanut was crunchy and tasty. There were great improvements compared to the previous time. Then, he tried the pig ears salad and pig tongue salad. The pig ears were crunchy and chewy, while the pig tongue was soft and texturized. The red oil was fragrant and spicy. They complemented each other perfectly. They had obviously improved as well. Mag put down his chopsticks and looked at the nervous Mela. He nodded with a smile. Not bad. They can be released in Saipan Tavern now. Really? Mela was so surprised that she wanted to jump up immediately. Yes. You have reached my expectation. Mag nodded. It's great. The Saipan Tavern's customers finally have side dishes to go with their drinks, Mela said with a smile. She had been blaming herself for that for a long time. After lunch, Mag went to Saipan Tavern to take a look before bringing the children to shop and eat. After exiting a food street, Amy and Annie were both carrying all sorts of food. Mag and Irina were following after the two little ones with a smile. Just as they were about to go out of the alley, they were stopped by a priest with white hair and a white beard. The Holy See had once led the human race out of the Dark Ages and built the Roth Empire. However, the Holy See had always been stuck in the mud. They had plenty of rules internally. Everything would become involuntary once they entered the Holy See. However, the Pope seemed to care greatly for Amy. He not only wanted her to become the Holy See's holy maiden and gave her the wings of light, he even came looking for her again and again. If it was in the past, Mag would make an excuse not to meet that old man. However, it was different now. He no longer had to be too respectful of the Pope with his current power. Hence, he intended to meet that old man and see what he was up to. "Let's go." "Bring us there," Mag said to the bishop. "Please follow me." The bishop nodded smilingly and led them into a deserted alley. A light flashed as soon as they stepped into the alley. Then, they appeared in a splendid palace. Mag secretly marveled at this teleportation portal's cleverness, but his gaze was attracted by the Pope wearing white opulent clothes and a crown. The bishop who brought Mag and his family to the hall, bowed to the Pope before exiting the great hall. "Father, isn't that the grandpa who gave me the wings?" Amy asked softly. "Yes." Mag nodded slightly. "You guys come, my young friends," the Pope turned around and said to Mag smilingly. His eyes even glowed when his gaze landed on Amy. "May I know why you invite us here, Lord Pope?" Mag asked the Pope directly. The Pope looked at Mag and answered with a gentle smile, "Don't be restless, my young friend. We met once many years ago. I just didn't expect you could come back after going through so many defeats and save the Norland continent from devastation. You know who I am. There's nobody else like you in this world." Mag laughed. "But only a few people in this world could guess who I am. If it isn't for the fact that you didn't care about being found out, I wouldn't have guessed it either." The Pope smiled and turned to say to Irina, "Princess Irina, how have you been?" "Old fellow, I didn't expect you to still be the same after all these years," Irina said to the Pope smilingly. When she used to travel between the Wind Forest and Rodu, this Pope had tried to get her to join the Holy See too. He even said he would let her be the Holy Maiden. However, she was careful back then. After hearing that the Holy See had a lot of rules and even the daily wake-up time was fixed, she escaped. She heard Mag mention that the Pope wanted to invite Amy to be the Holy See's Holy Maiden, but she didn't expect that they would be shameless to stop them in the middle of their way. "I have been like this for the past few decades and it's not easy to change." The Pope shook his head as his gaze landed on Annie. His smile got increasingly gentle as he waved at her. "Child, come here." Annie looked at the Pope. She felt that he seemed rather friendly, but she still looked at Mag for permission. "I'm here to tell you to stop targeting Amy and don't even try to target Annie." Mag stopped smiling and looked at the Pope with a wary gaze. "I feel this child has an affinity with me, so I want to give her a blessing. I don't mean any harm." The Pope explained with a smile. "No thanks. We don't believe in the Holy See's ideology." Mag rejected it on Annie's behalf. Annie's identity was special. Although she didn't have the Great Old One's presence on her and was a pure and kind soul, the Pope's identity was special and his power was unknown. What if he said he wanted to bless her, but was, in fact, trying to target Annie? He wasn't 100% confident that he could protect Annie and Amy at the same time. "You have a good daughter. Since you didn't want me to bless her, then I can only give her a small present. It can ward off evil for the wearer." The Pope took out a small simple-looking black jade with many runes on it and tossed it gently. It flew towards Annie and hovered in front of her. Annie didn't take the jade, instead she looked at Mag take it. "It's the Pope's kind wishes." Mag nodded slightly. Annie grabbed the jade and thanked the Pope with sign language. "This child's voice." The Pope was looking at Annie with surprise. She's born this way, but she can already use sign language to communicate. Mag explained. How can such an outstanding person have such a defective voice? She should be using her throat to sing about beautiful things. The Pope shook his head. After pondering for a moment, the Pope passed a small bottle to Mag. What's this? Mag was befuddled. This is a bottle of advanced lozenges. Even though I don't know how much it can improve her condition, it should help a little, the Pope said. Thank you, Annie replied with sign language. Don't mention it. The Pope nodded slightly. Then, he turned to Amy and smiled brightly. My young friend Amy, are you willing to be our Holy See's holy maiden? If you are, you'll be the master of this great hall. No way. Dream on. Not willing. 3 voices spoke up at the same time. The smile on the Pope's face looked ridiculous. There was actually a family in this world that was so against becoming the Holy See's Pope. This was completely unimaginable 100 years ago. Grandpa Big Beard, although I appreciate the wings that you gave me, I still cannot be your holy maiden. I want to stay in the restaurant with my parents. You can still stay in the restaurant with your parents even if you become the holy maiden. You can return to the Holy See after you come of age, the Pope said smilingly. Do you think we will hand the child that we painstakingly raised to the Holy See to make use of? Mag smiled. Even if we agree to it, you still have to ask if Krasu and Urian would agree to it. It doesn't matter if they agree or not. Most importantly is whether Amy agrees to it, the Pope said to Mag calmly. Mag smiled too. Violence will not solve any problem. Instead, it will bring more trouble to the issue. The Pope shook his head. This is a matter between willing parties. I hope as parents, you can put more consideration for her with regard to becoming a holy maiden. There has yet to be a female pope in the history of the Norland continent. As long as she agrees, she can become a pope. What is a pope? Amy asked curiously. A pope is a very important status. With this status and power, no one in the Norland continent would dare to be disrespectful to you, not even the king of the Roth Empire, the Pope explained to Amy. As long as you are strong enough, no one would dare to be disrespectful to you even without this status. Mag placed his hand gently on Amy's head and caressed her hair. On top of that, you do not have to bear responsibilities that you shouldn't be bearing. Amy nodded thoughtfully. The Pope sighed. He looked at Mag and said, You've spent half of your life in the military, protecting the Roth Empire's borders and even fought against the devil for the Norland continent. Why don't you allow your daughter to be just like you? Do you think I've been leading a happy life? Mag asked with a smile. The Pope looked at Mag for a long time without saying a word. After a long time, he nodded. I understand. However, I will continue to keep this position of the Holy Maiden for Amy until she grows into an adult and has the ability to make her own decisions and judgment. That's your business, Mag said. The Pope took out a book and cast it over. It flew towards Amy and stopped in front of her. What is this? Amy asked as she received the book. This is a series of the most mysterious spells in the Holy See. Little Amy, you can try learning it on your own, the Pope explained. Mag wanted to let Amy put it down but saw Irina shake her head gently, so he swallowed his words. If there's nothing else, we'll leave. Mag did not want to continue staying. He picked Amy up and turned to leave. I really admire what you did for the world and would like to express my gratitude to you once again. The Pope lowered his head and bowed to Mag. You're too kind. Mag turned to the side slightly. No matter how much he disliked the traditional Holy See and the Pope, he must admit that they had pretty similar tastes. Mag did not wish to stay further and the Pope did not force them to stay. Therefore, after a wave of his hand, Mag and his family returned to the alley from before. Annie was still holding on to that bottle of medicine. She looked at Mag, asking him what she should do with it. We'll try eating it when we get back. I doubt he has ill intentions. Mag smiled and kept the little bottle for Annie. What are your plans for the weekend? Luna asked Vivian, who was standing at the door, with a smile. Of course, I'm going to eat all I want. This is my first time being a teacher and I was so nervous for the past few days. I finally made it to the weekend, of course I'll have to relax and let loose. That's why I'm here to invite you to have hot pot, Vivian said with a smile. To Mamie restaurant? Luna blurted out and blushed. Mamie restaurant? Vivian seemed to be in a difficult spot. Suddenly, her eyes lit up. Mamie restaurant is closed today so we can't eat there. We can only go to Mana Hot Pot restaurant. They've been to Mana Hot Pot restaurant several times. Although the taste was a little inferior compared to the one at Mana Hot Pot restaurant's designated hot pot area, it was not a big difference. Compared to the other fake copies of other restaurants, Mana Hot Pot restaurant was the only place in Chaos City where the price was affordable and yet the food was good. Vivian had not told Luna that Boss Mag's wife was back. Luna had been so busy over Hope School that she had no time to go to Mamie restaurant. Therefore, she was still unaware of it. I see. Luna nodded. Although she was a little disappointed, she did not let it show on her face. Instead, she nodded with a smile and said, All right, let's go to Mana Hot Pot restaurant. Pack your stuff quickly, we're setting off right now. Vivian pushed Luna through the room door and they quickly walked out of the house hand in hand. Oh right, is Amy also studying on campus? I don't think I've seen her at all other than during the opening ceremony. Vivian pointed out as she put her arms around Luna's arm. Amy had already transferred over to Hope School from Chaos School. She is also currently the only student that is paying school fees. Luna nodded. However, she hasn't been taking classes in Hope School currently. Instead, she's learning magic at the Magic Potion Shop and the Magic Classroom in Chaos School. I see. Vivian nodded thoughtfully. She glanced at Luna and then pretended to ask casually, Has she mentioned her mother to you? Mother? Luna looked at her strangely. Why the sudden question? Vivian said with a smile, I'm just purely curious. I was thinking, Amy is so pretty and doesn't really look like Boss Mag. Therefore, I think her mother must be a beauty. Amy told me when she was younger that she has no mother and does not know what her mother looks like. Luna shook her head slightly, her face full of sympathy. What a pitiful child. She was such an obedient and sensible child but had to go through so much hardship ever since she was young. She did not even know who her mother was or what she looked like. I see. Vivian nodded. She looked at Luna sympathetically too. This silly lass did not even know that Amy's mother was already hugging the child to sleep at night. What do you think of Boss Mag, then? Vivian asked as she suddenly got serious. Boss Mag is a good person. Can't you say something more practical other than just giving out the good person card? He is a gentle and kind person. He always puts in extra effort when it comes to things concerning children. He is someone worthy of respect and is willing to give a lot to children. He is, even more, a talented person with exceptional creative abilities. Luna listed as she smiled unconsciously. Oh dear, oh dear. This time, things had gone over the line. Why can't this wench resist the temptation? Did she really catch feelings because of what I said before? Vivian felt a little guilty and was in a dilemma. Luna would probably feel terrible if she found out the news, right? Boss Mag, you scumbag. Vivian cursed silently. However, this story's framework and setting had been decided by Mag, so she used the brain-computer interface to run through the script once in her mind first. Blue sky thinking couldn't be presented in the scenes. Hence, even if it was the imagination in her mind, she still had to follow the basic logics and principles. Therefore, it took Vicky the whole night just to run through the story in her mind once. Vicky opened her eyes to look at the draft in front of her. The tired expression on her face lessened a little. This is really a good story, but I still have to add some more details to it. Just as Vicky went through the draft and did some editing, the alarm rang. It's already 7 a.m. Vicky turned off the alarm clock. Even though she had so many inspirations in her mind right now, she had to put them aside first. Let's drink a little spring of life and then wash up for breakfast. It's time to prepare for the morning performance again. Vicky put away the balls and took a sip of the spring of life. She felt energized instantly as though she had just had a full night's rest. This will be very popular if it could be made into a beverage, right? Vicky looked at the small bottle in her hand with appreciation. This was much more potent than most recovery potions. Vicky went out as she mumbled, "The story is not bad, but the title's horrible. I'm going to change this title sooner or later." Mag had a good night's sleep. He was completely at ease in handing the script over to Vicky. After the breakfast was over, he went out and rode his bicycle around. He didn't find any appropriate filming locations, but he bumped into Angela, who was reading in a corner of the park. "What are you reading?" Mag stopped the bicycle in front of her and poked his head out to take a look curiously. Angela looked up when she heard him. She was taken aback when she saw Mag. She blushed and hid the book behind her. "Boss, what are you doing here?" Angela sounded nervous. Mag saw that she looked nervous. She was blushing and panting, and her expression was weird. Was she reading that kind of book? However, on second thoughts, this lass was at the age where she should be curious about the birds and bees. Furthermore, she usually hung out with succubi and loved to tell dirty jokes, so it didn't seem abnormal for her to learn some new knowledge secretly in the park. Instead, he had frightened her and ruined her mood by appearing suddenly. "Oh, it's nothing. I'm just passing by. Please continue on." Mag rode away on his bicycle. Did he see it?" Angela murmured with a blush as she watched Mag ride away. She only took out the book after Mag went far. The title of the book was Boss Mag's Indecent Little Wife. Author, the Northwestern Lone Wolf. What does he mean by continue on? He wants me to learn from it. The big sisters are right. There's indeed nothing good about men. But this book is quite a good read. Let's continue. Northwestern Lone Wolf munched on the meat pie and talked to a kind-looking middle-aged woman through the window. "Esteemed editor, I saw that the book's title was changed when I passed by the breakfast shop earlier. Boss Mag's wife is back, so we borrowed a little of their hype and we heightened the conflict at the same time. It also happened to complement your current update." The editor smiled brightly. "Did you know that the sales of the latest edition has surpassed the total of all the previous 6 editions? Your book is breaking through. It's going to become famous." Cough, cough, cough. Cynthia, who was drinking water, choked and coughed. "Don't be too excited. According to the contract that we signed previously, your remuneration won't be too low. You just have to keep up with the updates and the remuneration will last you for years," the editor said consolingly. Cynthia finally stopped coughing. She wiped the water and seriously said to the editor, "Then, will Boss Mag see this book too?" The editor shook her head with a smile. "Don't worry. Our book's target audience is women. Apart from a few special men, Boss Mag won't be buying this book." "That's good." Cynthia sighed. She still wanted to go eat at Mamie restaurant. She would be too embarrassed to go if Boss Mag saw this book. "However, even though I think that he won't be buying it, the ladies around him might. I even heard the chief editor discussing overprint with the printer." The editor continued on. "It's over." Cynthia slumped on her seat. She felt she had committed social suicide again. "Don't worry. Other than me, no one else in the editorial department knows that Northwestern Lone Wolf is a pretty maiden." The editor consoled her with a smile. "That's good." Cynthia was relieved and she bit into the meat pie. "However, the chief editor held a meeting yesterday to vote on you having a booking signing session. Currently, everyone agrees, the editor continued speaking. What? No way. I'm not going. Cynthia jumped off her chair right away. I'm afraid that's not going to happen. We've signed a contract and you have to work with the editorial department for publicity. You people! Even you betrayed me. Cynthia wanted to cry. I simply think that your image is great and there is a good contrast between you and your pen name. Maybe you will gain many fans and become the new queen of romance novels, the editor innocently said. Did I do anything wrong? What queen of romance novels? This is the queen of smut literature. Maybe I will be handcuffed and brought away as soon as I get there. Cynthia slumped on her seat weakly. The pen name was her last barrier. From the moment she started writing those words, she had never intended to meet people with that name. And now the editorial agency actually wanted her to hold a book signing session? Was this a book that could hold a book signing session? Was she that shameless? Enjoy your breakfast and remember to write your manuscript in advance. I'll notify you once the book signing session is confirmed. The editor escaped. Don't run away. I'm telling you all that I will never hold a book signing session. Cynthia jumped up from her chair and shouted as she ran to the door. Nothing. Let's eat. Angela picked up her bowl and ate quietly. Everyone followed, but the atmosphere was still a little weird. Irina was also looking at them with puzzlement. She was wondering what secrets they were hiding from them. Ha ha ha. Every dog has his day. Unfortunately, it's only words. If I can get the recording. Camilla looked at Mag from the corner of her eyes and her imagination began to go wild. Boss, did you hear anything weird when you were out today? Yabimiya asked curiously. They all turned to look at him and even flick a glance at Caroline too. Hear anything weird? Mag frowned and then shook his head. I didn't hear anything weird. Oh, I see. There's nothing then. Today's red braised pork is so scrumptious. Yabimiya popped a piece of red braised pork into her mouth and didn't say anything else again. Mag was perplexed. He sensed that they were hiding something from him. After lunch, Mag opened the door. After saying his welcome with a smile, he was met with all kinds of weird gazes. How should he describe it? It was as though the entire world knew about your secret and only you have no idea that you have that secret. The customers streamed into the restaurant as usual, but they appeared to be more distant than they usually were. Only Harrison secretly gave Mag a thumbs up when he walked by him. What the heck? What's going on now? Mag entered the kitchen with a perplexed expression and he cooked for his customers with befuddlement. Have you heard about it? Of course. Who doesn't know about that by now? I didn't expect he's that kind of man. Yes. If I knew that I could too, I wouldn't have waited till now. Tisk tisk. He actually did that when he had such a beautiful wife at home. As the saying goes, a secret lover is better than a wife. I only feel sorry for his wife. Even though they were not loud, Mag's hearing was great. Hence, he had heard what they were saying. However, he still looked confused after hearing them. A secret lover. What happened? What kind of man am I? Mag wanted to go out, catch one person and interrogate him with his cleaver. Mag was getting frustrated and Irina's gaze gradually became sharp. As a woman, she naturally understood the meaning between the lines. Mag still couldn't figure out what the customers were talking about even until the service was over. He could only understand vaguely that Rodo had rumors about him cheating now. Furthermore, this news spread as though it was real. It was full of details, hence it had gotten the people's approval. Irina walked to the kitchen and smilingly asked Mag, who was wiping his chef's knife, shouldn't you explain what's going on? The maidens who were cleaning up the restaurant, fell silent. Even though they were still working, they pricked up their ears, trying to hear the tragedy that was going to take place, and wondered if they should help stop the argument. I want to ask that question too. Mag put away his cleaver and walked to the kitchen's entrance. He asked the maidens, who were working hard, "Mia, tell me what did they mean earlier?" Yabimia put down the plates. She looked at Mag and then at Caroline. After biting her lips in hesitation for a while, she said in a low voice, "There are some rumors out there, saying." "What did it say?" Irina asked. Yabimia looked around and sought help from Angela. Angela's eyelids twitched and she turned her body slightly to avoid her gaze. "It said that boss had an affair with a customer and it was written into a novel. It seems to be selling quite well, so it has spread far and wide. Everyone knows about it." Elizabeth continued on calmly. There's something like that." Mag glared. He didn't expect that was the reason that everyone became weird. He really didn't expect someone would spread such rumors about him and it had such an influence. That could explain why the earlier atmosphere was so awkward. After all, he had the good man's persona and was turned into a man who cheated on his wife overnight. He lost all his goodwill from the people. It was just rumors written by an author. It's nothing. The odd thing here is why so many people believe in it. Mag explained to Irina. Irina didn't answer Mag. Instead, she turned to the ladies. "Do any of you have that novel?" "I do." Angela offered that novel with a pink cover to Irina like a treasure. "Isn't this the book that she was secretly reading in the park in the morning?" Mag cocked his eyebrow. He suddenly knew why this book looked so familiar. Thinking of it now, he immediately understood why she was blushing when she was simply reading a book in the park. Irina took the book and read the title aloud, "Boss Mag's Indecent Little Wife." What an embarrassing title! You know immediately that it's to poison the minds of the innocent young maidens. Mag frowned. "Have you all read it?" Irina asked the ladies. "No." All the ladies shook their heads, including Angela. "It's your book, but you have never read it." Irina looked at Angela weirdly. I haven't read it yet," Angela replied with a mild blush. "The hell, I'll believe you." Mag rolled his eyes and ratted her out. She was hiding in the park and reading this book alone in the morning. "I saw her with my own eyes." Angela covered her face, feeling that she had fallen flat on her face. Irina opened the book and flipped through a few pages. She was also blushing and she quickly closed the book. "Why are you blushing? Have you never read a romance novel before?" Mag mumbled inwardly. However, he still said with a proper expression, "Is it made up of nonsense content? Such a novel cannot be believed from its title to its very last word. There are actually people believing it. Public morals are degenerating with each passing day. Judge for yourself if it's true." Irina threw the book into Mag's hands. "I'll read it. I want to see what nonsense she is sprouting." Mag took the book and casually flipped to a random page. The chapter's title was, "Boss Mag Playing in the Water, 7 Times in a Night." Mag's expression froze on his face as he quietly closed the book. He couldn't read it anymore, otherwise he would get censored. Fricking hell! It wasn't simply adding a little detail. It was full of details. However, that was not something one could explain easily with so many ladies around. "It's a rumor, a plain rumor," Mag said seriously. "So correction, this is a plain rumor?" Angela asked. The ladies blushed upon hearing that. They were passing the book around in the morning. Although none of them had finished reading the book and had only skimmed through the rough details, they all knew what was written inside. "No one would think you're a mute if you did not talk." Mag glanced at her and said with a nod, "Yes, that's it. I can't believe a nonsense novel could actually ruin my reputation. Those foolish fellows actually believed the contents of a lewd novel. What has the world become?" Mag lamented with a sigh. "In that case, it's fake?" Irina asked him with a smile. Mag knew that she would never believe him, but her look of disbelief seemed to tell him that she was up to something. However, he still said with certainty, "Yes. I must find the author and let her know what the result of spreading false rumors is. Boss, are you going to catch Cyn? Mia blurted. Cyn? That's just a fictional character. Mag frowned. He picked up the book and pointed at the pen name as he said, I want to find this. Northwestern Lone Wolf. Sounds like a tough one. Boss, you'd better be careful going on your own. Be careful that she's not a lecher, Angela said as she raised her brows. Which normal person can write things out in such detail? You speak too much. Mag smacked her head with the book. Angela dodged backward as she covered her head with her hands. She did not expect that as an 8th-tier powerhouse, she actually did not manage to avoid the boss attack. All right. That's all for this matter. Disperse. Mag waved his hand to indicate that the meeting had ended. Boss, my book. Angela looked at Mag pitifully. Tears welled up in her charming eyes as she tossed out a charm unknowingly. Mag ignored the charm she tossed out and said uprightly, I'm confiscating it. You are the source of the rumors spreading in the restaurant. Read more healthy things and don't sneak around in the park to read this kind of thing. Hey, that's too much. Angela's face fell immediately. How can you say something like that to a girl? You don't want to act anymore? Mag asked. Angela thought of what Mag said a few days ago and suddenly swallowed her words back. She glared at him begrudgingly before turning to walk away. This book is so well written and she wanted to read it 2 or 3 more times while she learned some techniques. She did not expect Mag to confiscate it so shamelessly. It looked like she would have to get herself another copy. The other ladies bade goodbye as well. Say, do you think that what Boss said is true? Hannah asked curiously. I believe in Boss. In the past few months, I've never seen him flirt or tease any female customers, and it's the same with us, Elizabeth said coldly. Yes. Boss is very upright. If he was not upright enough, we would probably be the ones to have second thoughts, Yabimiya said with a smile. Boss charm is rather hard to resist. A man like him is indeed hard to find. Gina nodded in agreement. The ladies laughed and headed back to the dormitory as they chatted. What do you intend to do now? Assassinate the novelist. Irina looked at Mag with a smile as though she was just watching a show. Although the novelist spread false rumors about me, it is not something worth killing her over. I reckon she did not think that her novel could be so realistic and spread so far. Mag shook his head with a bitter smile. How can there be so many dumb people in this world? And you're going to let her be? Even though she does not deserve death, it does not mean that she should not be punished. This matter started because of a novel, so it must end with this novel. I must find her and make her clarify it, Mag said with a smile. As for how I will punish her, I haven't thought of that yet. We'll see when I catch her. I'm going out for a while, Mag said as he headed out. You know how to find her. Isn't the publishing house and pen name written on the book? There are bound to be people who know her. Mag waved the book in his hand and left. Mag quickly found the editorial agency located in the west of the city named Del Mar Publishing House. Mag wore his mask in the alley, putting on the disguise of a middle-aged merchant. He tidied his clothes up and placed the book into a little bag before walking toward the publishing house. The moment Mag stepped foot inside, he was stopped by the lady at the front desk. Sir, do you have an appointment? The lady at the desk asked with a sweet smile. Judging from Mag's clothing, she was guessing that Mag was a rich man here to discuss business. Apologies, I do not have an appointment, but I'm here today to discuss a big business deal with your boss. Can you help me inform him? Mag replied with a smile, unconsciously revealing his bangle that was encrusted with gems. Sure. Please hold on. I will notify our boss. The lady could not determine what Mag was here for and was worried that she might rashly reject her boss' potential client. After replying to Mag, she quickly walked in. After a while, a short and plump middle-aged man followed the lady out. He sized Mag up when he was far away, and by the time he reached Mag, he was already full of smiles. "Pal, you don't look familiar to me. May I ask the reason for your arrival?" Mag pulled out a book from his bag and said with a smile, "Hi, I am the owner of SAHDR Publishing House in Rodu. You must be Mr. Delmar, right? I am here today to discuss a partnership for Boss Mag's indecent little wife. I have the intention of spending 2 million copper coins to buy the publishing rights for this book in the Roth Empire." When Delmar heard SAHDR Publishing House, he was still a little skeptical. He did not recall such a publishing house in Rodu. However, when he heard 2 million copper coins, his eyes lit up instantly. He said with a broad smile, Come, please come in. Let's have a slow chat about it inside." Delmar Publishing House was a small publishing house. Although it was rather well known in the lewd novel circle, it was not something that one could put on the table, and therefore, it did not create a positive impact on his brand. Boss Mag's indecent little wife was their comeback piece. Based on its current popularity, its sales alone could sustain the company for 3 years, much less bring about a wave of sales for the previous few books. Delmar got the tea ready and placed it in front of Mag before sitting across from him and smilingly said, "Could you tell me more about the collaboration, please, Mr. SAHDR? It's like this. I went to the bookshop today and realized that your publishing house's books were selling very well. I bought one and found that the contents were not bad either. It's a book of good quality and had spread through word of mouth, so I came here based on the address on the book cover. I want to talk about a collaboration with you. I wonder if I can buy the Roth Empire's publishing's dealership from you." Mag said with a smile, "We will sell this book with our SAHDR Publishing House's power and sales channels. Apart from the dealership's fees, we will also give you 50% of the profits." This. Delmar's eyes rolled in his sockets. There was actually such a good deal like this. 2 million copper coins wasn't a small amount of money for Delmar. Although Boss Mag's indecent little wife sales seemed rather good recently, it was restricted by its topic. Selling 100,000 copies was already its limit. Taking away all the costs, they could only earn 2 million to 3 million copper coins. If this god of wealth chose to give them 2 million copper coins and a bite of the Roth Empire's big cake, it would be fantastic. "Do you think it's too little?" Mag curved his lips, but his voice became colder. "No, it's not little." Delmar quickly shook his head and smilingly said, "This isn't a small collaboration, so we need to negotiate further. I simply want to know how many copies do you think this book can sell in the Roth Empire?" Mag pursed his lips and said, "Given this book's quality and Boss Mag's popularity, it can easily sell 1 million copies. 1 million copies? Delmar's eyes lit up. Even if he only earned 50% of the 30 copper coins profit per book, that would be 10 million copper coins too. The Roth Empire's market is indeed huge. Delmar's breathing became labored. This was simply too enticing for him. The crux was that he didn't have to tell Northwestern Lone Wolf at all. He could secretly gobble up all the money and earn 10 million more without anyone knowing. He had thought of doing it himself before, but in the publishing line, having the book alone was of no use. You had to have the channels and connections, otherwise the readers would never have the chance to see your book, let alone sell it. Delmar decided and said, "All right, let's agree on it. This matter can't be agreed upon yet." Mag took a sip of the tea and crossed his legs. Delmar was stunned as he nervously said, "Is there something you are not satisfied with?" Mag slowly said, "It's not that I'm not satisfied, but this is a big business deal. Since I'm here on business in Chaos City, I want to meet the author and talk to him about this book's creative journey and his future's creative plan." "You want to meet the author?" Delmar murmured. His brain raced as he was worried that Mag might poach her, and yet he didn't want to lose the deal. He was in a dilemma. If it isn't convenient, then forget it. Mag put the book back into his briefcase and got up to walk to the door. Delmar shot up instantly from his seat and said, full of smiles, "How can it be inconvenient? If you want to meet the author, I'll go get the editor who specially handles Northwestern Lone Wolf to bring you there." "Oh, I'll go with you too." Mag flicked a glance at him, as though he was sizing up his sincerity. He only nodded after a while. Delmar quickly went out and wiped away the cold sweat on his forehead. The aura of someone who talked about business that was worth millions, was indeed different. "Boss. I don't think this is appropriate. Northwestern Lone Wolf has never met anybody before. She even refused to hold the book signing session that you wanted me to talk to her about previously. She's definitely not going to meet the person that you brought over," the editor said to the boss with a miserable expression. She never had a good day ever since she became Northwestern Lone Wolf's editor. However, she would still have feelings for a dog that she had reared for 3 years, let alone an author that she sent knives to daily. This was an author that grew up on her knives. How could she not protect her? She has to meet this person today. "Bring us over now," boss answered severely before getting closer to the editor and whispering, "This customer is very important. I'll give you a pay increase of 1,000 and double your bonus at the end of the year." "Really?" The editor's eyes lit up instantly. Delmar slapped his chest and promised her. "When have I ever lied to you before?" After an intense internal battle, the editor finally clenched her teeth and said, "All right. I'll bring you guys over. However, let's have an agreement that if she refuses to meet you guys, you cannot force her. She's the author, and if she refuses to update because she's pissed, I won't be able to do anything either." Refusing to update was the author's final show of pride. Delmar also turned severe after hearing that. Even though they had signed a contract, they couldn't go overboard. The publishing house depended on her for a living now. Mag got into the horse-drawn carriage that Delmar prepared. The middle-aged woman sitting across from him kept sizing him up sneakily. About 10 minutes later, the horse-drawn carriage stopped in front of a small courtyard at the southwest of the city. "It's here," the female editor said and got off the horse-drawn carriage first. Mag followed after her. After going through the hollow parapet, he could see the decor in the yard. It was already early spring and pink flower buds had appeared on the tree at the corner of the yard. There were flowers and plants everywhere in the yard and they were well taken care of. After pulling through the severe winter, they began to turn green in the early spring's warm winds. A swing was tied on an old locust tree and it swayed gently in the wind. There was also a rocking chair in the yard. Even though no one was sitting there, it looked extremely comfortable. It was obvious the owner of this yard was someone who loved and enjoyed life. However, this decor seemed a little too girly. Could he be a pervert? Mag frowned. However, when Mag thought of how a man could have imagined a smut novel that was full of details about him, he had to be a pervert. "Where's the author?" Mag asked. The female editor nodded and went up to knock on the door. After some time, a lazy voice spoke up from inside. "Who's it?" "It's a female." Both Delmar and Mag looked shocked. Mag didn't expect the author with such a perverted pen name to be a girl. Of course, what he even less expected was that Delmar was also equally shocked. "Wasn't she their publishing house's author?" "It's me," the female editor answered. "Didn't I just hand in the manuscript? Why can't you let me sleep?" The voice was full of irritation. This voice. Why did it sound so familiar? Mag frowned. Delmar stole a peek at Mag before making eyes at the female editor. The female editor had no choice but to say, "Oh, our boss said he wants to meet you and discuss the collaboration with you. There's also another publishing house's boss who wants to meet you too." There was silence in there for a while, before the window cracked open and 3 knives flew out. They were pinned onto the tree behind them. "No." The window shut with a bang. Delmar looked at the 3 knives that flew by close to his face with cold sweat. He gulped and said with a dry laugh, "Ha! Nowadays, the authors even need to do tricks. The requirements are getting higher and higher. Mag glanced at those 3 knives. They were not stabbed deep into the tree, but the tips were all firmly stuck into the tree. It was obvious that the maiden wasn't strong, but her accuracy wasn't bad. She should have plenty of practice usually. Of course, that was not important. Most importantly, he had identified 3 things. Northwestern Lone Wolf was a female, he should have met her before, and she was a young maiden. Seems like this author is rather proud. Since this is the case, let's forget about our collaboration. Mag turned to leave. Yeah. Boss Padar, we still can discuss that. Delmar was stunned. He didn't expect Mag to be annoyed so suddenly. He had just said it was fine if the author refused to meet him, so why did he suddenly call off the collaboration? Delmar chased after Mag for 3 blocks before losing him as he panted. Sigh. Delmar slapped his thigh hard. He was so angry that his face went red. The female editor also chased after Delmar for 3 blocks. She stopped behind Delmar and panted. "Boss, where's he?" "He's gone." Delmar looked devastated. He turned to look at the editor as though he had expected better from her. "Your bonus and pay increase are gone too." "No way. Didn't we agree on it?" The female editor looked crushed instantly. If you hadn't spoiled her normally, how would she dare to refuse to meet her boss? "If you don't bring her to the office to meet me tomorrow, you don't have to work for me any longer either," Delmar said angrily. The 20 million that he almost got to earn had just flown away. His heart was bleeding right now. However, he had already thought of another idea. Since Padar was willing to offer so much for a collaboration, this meant that Boss Mag's indecent little wife did indeed have a good prospect in the Roth Empire. And, as the publishing house holding the rights, even though he didn't have the channels in the Roth Empire, he could go ask for a collaboration with those few top publishing houses. Perhaps, he could even make more money. As for making Northwestern Lone Wolf go to the office, firstly, it was to give her a little deterrent and let her know her position. She was just an author. There was no need for her to be so arrogant. Secondly, he wanted to sign a new contract with her that bound her to the Delmar publishing house. He didn't want to give the other publishing houses any chances. This book got popular, which meant she was an author with great potential. Perhaps, she could release even more popular books in the future. Anyway, she could be bound to the Delmar publishing house with just one contract. She would be their cash cow in the future. Delmar, who was in the horse-drawn carriage, couldn't help laughing shrilly when he thought of that. These people are really getting overboard. As an independent author, I will never back off on this matter. In the room, Cynthia swung her packed backpack onto her back and looked at the pile of knives in the corner of the room with a lingering expression. If she sold all of them, she could buy many big meat buns with the money. "It's fine. I'm just going out for a while and I'll return after some time. Be good, guys. I may still have to depend on you guys for a living if I run out of money after I come back." Cynthia went over and picked up the sharpest knife in the pile. She wrapped it with cowhide and hid it on her body before crouching over the door's crack and looked around. After making sure that there was no one around, she sneaked out of the door. "I didn't expect it to be her." Mag revealed half of his face in the alley with a weird expression. He knew this maiden. It was her who suddenly jumped out and almost condemned him on the day of Irina's return. He just didn't expect her to be that Northwestern lone wolf who badmouthed him secretly with the novels. Thinking back on her behavior that day, could it be that she was too absorbed by the novels that she wrote in the night? That was why she caused that debacle? Even though she was the restaurant's regular customer too, she was a customer with an ulterior motive. Mag had no intent to let her off easily. After all, the rumors she caused had brought plenty of trouble, and this trouble was still developing. Mag followed her far away. She finally stopped in front of a small hotel. "Seems like she's going to hide here for a few days." She still knows how to preserve her dignity. Mag looked at the hotel's signboard and pondered about how to negotiate with this author. In the end, Cynthia, who had just gone in, came out of the hotel happily. Her backpack was gone. She should have left it in her room. Mag turned to the side as he heard that maiden murmur to herself as she walked by him, "Let's go walk around first and then go eat at Mamie restaurant. I have to eat red braised pork today. I have just received my remuneration for this month. I have to send it to my husband." Mag. Was she that self-aware? No, why did these words sound so awkward? Did you write these smut novels to support me? However, this made Mag decide not to target her. Anyway, wasn't she going to come and eat at the restaurant? Why doesn't he meet her there? However, the trouble that this matter caused Mag was very minimal. As long as Irina didn't believe it, he didn't care who did. Mag was making tofu pudding in the kitchen when Mia came to the entrance and said with an awkward expression, "Boss, little Amy is arguing with the customers." Arguing? Mag stopped his work with shock. It's not really an argument. It's more like little Amy and Kiddo giving the customers a lecture over the rumors, Mia mumbled with an amused expression. These two little ones. I want to see what lecture they are giving. Mag laughed when he heard that. He washed his hands and walked to the door. Amy stood on the steps at the door and stared at the customers angrily before loudly saying, "Let me tell you guys this. Our father is the best man in the world. Don't make up and spread rumors about him, otherwise, I won't let you off." After saying that, she huffed and placed her hands on her waist with a fierce expression. "We are very fierce." Awu Kiddo sat on Ugly Duckling next to Amy and held onto a big ladle that she stole from the kitchen as she opened her mouth and let out a cuddly angry roar. The restaurant's exterior was in complete silence. The customers tried to maintain their severe expressions and not to laugh as they looked at the pair of cuties. This was simply too cute. Why were such cuties in the world? And they came in pairs. Could Boss Mag's crisis management be letting his adorable daughters come out to sell their cuteness? I admit that it's effective for me. The customers' eyes lit up and their gaze became gentler. These two little cuties must be the ones who believed in Boss Mag the most in this world. Although currently, they still couldn't figure out when Boss Mag had that little cutie, who suddenly appeared, and weren't sure if she actually was Boss Mag and Lady Boss daughter. They were still mesmerized by her cuteness when they bumped into her during the past 2 days. Seeing her riding on the big orange cat just like a little guard next to Amy today, they were struck by their immense cuteness. What are they doing? Isn't it just a novel? Why are they so involved in it? Cynthia, who was standing in the line now, felt very conscious. From the moment she joined the line, she began to hear all sorts of cheating rumors between Boss Mag and his customer, Cyn. Her novel was the main framework, but the details were blurred. Moreover, many different versions and scenes were extended from it and they made it sound very real. At first, she was still happy that she became famous this time. However, after hearing it for a while, she realized something weird. They were not discussing the novel's plot. Instead, they had deemed the plot as reality and made up a third party that was having an affair with Boss Mag. They were discussing it as though it was real and judging Boss Mag. This was rumor-mongering. In Cynthia's heart, Boss Mag had always been a perfect man. That was why she made him her male lead. However, she had never expected that a novel that was only spreading secretly in a small circle would become so popular. What she even least expected was that someone would actually take the novel's imaginary descriptions and plots as facts and even talk about it so heatedly. Looking at Amy and Kiddo that were standing at the restaurant with grave expressions, she didn't think that it was amusing. Instead, she felt like she was committing a crime. That was their beloved father and now he was being attacked and judged for no reason. And all this was because of the novel she wrote. Are they crazy? Cynthia clenched her fists tightly. She wanted to rush out to make things clear. However, she halted as soon as she put her right foot forward. She was a little afraid. She suddenly didn't know how to handle all of it. Would those people believe her even if she said she was the author? She was Cynthia, who had just asked Boss Mag when he was going to marry her in front of Lady Boss a few days ago. Would they think that she was CYN if she stepped forward now? Would it happen to prove that the matters in the rumors were real? I don't know how Boss Mag is going to handle this matter. Trajay sighed. Womanizing debts are the hardest to repay. Harrison shook his head too. What do you know? It's just rumors. I believe in Boss Mag. If he's that kind of man who can be easily seduced by his customers, there would be many more women who are better than CYN throwing themselves at him, Miranda said with utmost conviction. He has such a beautiful wife, which is why he has never looked at the women out there. It's hard to find a woman that is as beautiful as the lady boss in Chaos City. I agree with Miranda on this. I trust Boss Mag too. Georgina nodded and said, only a pure person can outdo himself again and again to make one exquisite dish after another. Furthermore, the staff at Mamie Restaurant are very pretty, but we have never heard any rumors about them. It's simply illogical that he would target an unknown customer. Harrison and George were stunned and they inwardly leaned towards their wives' judgment more. Mag stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window and looked at the two unhappy little girls. He felt touched and apologetic at the same time. Yes, he didn't care, but the two little ones seemed to care. Hence, they were trying very hard to protect their father's image. They didn't allow those people to badmouth him. Then, he saw Cynthia who was in the line. She had an agonized expression and was sweating profusely. She would sometimes bite her lips, or intend to go forward at other times. She looked tortured. Seems like her conscience is not completely rotten. Mag curved his lips. The rumors that were caused by the novels were actually rather funny. Perhaps even she had never thought that her novel would get popular one day. The novel was a novel after all. Even if it was being pulled into reality and had details added in, it wouldn't escalate to this level without someone pushing it. The one with the rotten conscience was the fellow making trouble behind the scene. The weather is getting warm. Some people should be close to being bankrupt, Mag thought. Amy raised up her folding chair and said the toughest words with the cutest voice, "This is my last warning. Don't blame us for being rude if we hear the rumors again. Super fierce. Meow. Meow. Meow." The sweet tofu pudding is heresy. Soon, the usual debate in front of Mamie Restaurant began again. Cynthia stood in the line with complex emotions. She had already decided to go to the editorial agency tomorrow and get them to take the book out of the market. Even though this book had brought her a big remuneration, she would feel very uneasy if it was exchanged with Boss Mag's reputation. She had always been proud that she could support herself by writing. She could lose a money-making book, but she couldn't lose her integrity. The restaurant opened for business and the customers filed in. Cynthia walked over to Mag and nodded as usual before she wanted to carry on walking by him. "Northwestern Lone Wolf," Mag said the three words softly. Cynthia's footsteps faltered and she looked up at Mag suddenly. Her eyes flicked open as if she was terrified. However, Mag simply greeted the next customer calmly, as though the one who was talking earlier wasn't him. Was it a hallucination? No. It was Boss Mag's voice. But how did he find out? Cynthia's heart raced as though someone had exposed her evil deed. The customers behind Cynthia, who was not moving, looked at her perplexedly and gently coughed to remind her. Cynthia woke up and looked at Mag deeply before quickly walking to an empty seat. Cynthia still couldn't calm down after sitting down. In Chaos City, other than her editor, no one knew what Northwestern Lone Wolf looked like, or if the author was a man or a woman, including their boss. But, how did Boss Mag know her pen name? He shouldn't have known. Yabimiya smilingly asked Cynthia, who was in shock, "Dear customer, what would you like to order?" "Hey? Cynthia looked at Yabimiya in a daze before looking down at the menu again. She was feeling a little nervous and confused. Boss Mag knows that I wrote the novel? Will he take revenge on me? Will he put drugs in the food? Poison, maybe. Cynthia felt a chill up her back and her hands started sweating. Miss Yabimiya saw that Cynthia was sweating profusely and asked with concern, "Are you all right?" I am fine. I would like a helping of red braised pork, a helping of the eggplant with garlic sauce and a bowl of rice," Cynthia quickly ordered. Forget it. Since Boss Mag had found out, she was already at his mercy no matter if he chose to add drugs or poison in her food. She had caused all this trouble, so she deserved it if Boss Mag wanted to do anything to her. Cynthia's brain went wild with crazy thoughts. Mag was shaving the noodles in the kitchen and observing her secretly. He also wanted to know why this lass came to eat at Mamie restaurant. Was she a pervert, who was here to see how he handled the trouble that she caused, or was she guilty and here to make amends? So far, she seemed apologetic and uneasy with what happened. She didn't look like she had schadenfreude towards him. Of course, this didn't mean that Mag had forgiven her. Everyone had to be responsible for their actions. Even if things didn't go as she had expected, this matter was still caused by the novel. Soon, Cynthia's red braised pork and the eggplant with garlic sauce were served. Cynthia gulped when she smelled the rich meat aroma. She deliberately skipped breakfast and lunch for this meal. She was going to welcome the great food with an empty stomach. However, she felt conflicted when she looked at that piping hot red braised pork that was glistening and giving off an intoxicating aroma. Eat it. That was the signal that her body gave. Don't eat it. This was her rationale telling her the existence of danger. Even though this red braised pork was giving out a mesmerizing aroma, it also had a hidden presence of danger. However, this struggle only lasted less than 3 minutes. She picked up a piece of the red braised pork with her chopsticks and popped it into her mouth. Ah, this orgasmic taste! It was worthwhile if she was going to die because of it. Cynthia looked enraptured. She felt that she had reached the pinnacle of her life. Her ravenous stomach was soothed and her taste buds were already on their knees and singing. She couldn't stop even when she knew that this mouthful could be poisonous. After eating a few pieces of red braised pork and half a bowl of rice, Cynthia looked up at the kitchen with hot tears in her eyes. Boss Mag, I have done you wrong. Cynthia was indeed feeling apologetic. Such an outstanding chef and the man was maligned into a jerk because of a fan fiction novel. I have to solve this problem tomorrow and then apologize to Boss Mag formally, Cynthia thought as she set her mind to it. She didn't want anyone to get hurt because of this. Her initial intention was just to write an interesting story and share it with fellow maidens who had the same dream as her, while earning some money. After the dinner service was over, Gina carried the sleeping kiddo and consoled Mag. Boss Mag, don't take it to heart. Everyone knows your character and the rumors will soon be dispelled. It's just a small thing. Mag caressed kiddo's face with a smile. Are you used to sleeping with kiddo at night? Is the little one well behaved when she's sleeping? Yes, she's very well behaved. Gina nodded and there was a motherly glow in her smile. She sleeps through every night quietly and I feel I sleep better with her in my arms. That's good. She's an easy child. Mag smilingly said. At first, he was still worried that Gina couldn't get used to being a mother. Looking at it now, this worry was unnecessary. You guys go back and rest too. Mag stood at the door and watched the ladies leave. Irina stood behind Mag and smilingly asked, Did you find the author when you went out during the day? Mag closed the door and turned around. Instead, he asked her with a smile, Guess who I found? Is it done by someone we know? Irina asked with shock. He would do that. It did not change the fact that he wanted to make these two pay a price. Mag rode to Del Mar Publishing House on his bicycle. Before he even reached, he saw Cynthia, pacing about at the publishing house's door from afar. What is she doing here? Mag stopped and stood close to a wall as he watched Cynthia pace about at the door of the publishing house hesitantly. Cynthia did not appear to be in a good condition today. She had dark rings under her eyes and she appeared to have not slept the previous night. After a while, she appeared to have made up her mind. She looked up at the signboard and walked in with resolution. Mag found that interesting. He put away his bicycle and flipped over the walls of the publishing house. He found Delmar's office and stood in the corner with his ears close to the wall. "What? You want me to remove Boss Mag's indecent little wife?" Delmar screeched with shock and rage. "Yes, I found out yesterday that this book has already caused a lot of trouble in Boss Mag's life. It has even hurt his family. This is something that I did not expect. I am very guilty and I feel very sorry towards Boss Mag. Therefore, I wish that this book can be taken down immediately. At the same time, I will write a clarification letter to let everyone know that this book was just fiction that I imagined. It has nothing to do with Boss Mag. Boss Mag is a good man." Cynthia spoke firmly. Mag nodded slightly. This girl knew nothing indeed. Besides, she even came out immediately to stop this and even tried to make amends. She had a conscience. "Humph. Do you think the book will be taken down just because you want it to be?" Delmar snorted coldly. "You've received a large sum for the story and now you want to have the book taken down. Who then is supposed to be responsible for the losses of our publishing house? Do you take us to be fools? Let me put it to you this way. There is no way this book will be taken down. Not only will it not be taken down, I will even find someone to turn it into a picture book and also a script. This fellow." Mag's gaze turned cold. You're shameless." Cynthia was enraged. "This will ruin Boss Mag. He did nothing at all." "Hat, you're the one who wrote the novel. So even if he is ruined, you're the one who did it." "I was merely earning money." Delmar smiled. "Besides, we've a contract between us. If you continue writing novels, your pay will only get higher and higher. If you don't know your place and keep bringing up such unreasonable requests, I'll take the contract out and make you lose everything." "No. I didn't want to ruin him. I like him very much. I just wanted to write a novel." Cynthia was about to burst into tears. "Don't be afraid. No one knows that you are Northwestern Lone Wolf. If none of us talk about this, no one else would find out about it either. All you have to do is write your drafts and hand them in on time. Leave the rest to me. You can receive your high remuneration while I can earn money. This is a win-win situation." Delmar softened his tone. "As long as I am around, I will make sure that you will become the Norland continent's best writer. Go away. Don't touch me. I will not work with a shameless person like you." Cynthia screeched. At the same time, there was an agonizing groan and a loud slam of the door. After that, the office was silent. "Interesting." Mag smiled and left the publishing house. Cynthia ran out of the publishing house. She ran a few streets with reddened eyes before turning into a small alley and finally burst out crying. In the end, when she turned into the alley, she rammed right into an embrace. At the moment of impact, she felt a sturdy and warm embrace. Cynthia was stunned from the collision. She staggered back and almost fell, but a pair of strong arms held her up by her waist. "I'm sorry, She quickly apologized. She looked up and met the gaze of a familiar face. "Boss Mag." Cynthia's eyes widened and her face flushed red. "I need an explanation," Mag said with a smile as he looked at her. However, this man had now appeared in front of her. He wasn't in the restaurant and he wasn't in the books. He needed an explanation. But, Cynthia didn't know how to explain it. Cynthia blushed and looked at Mag in a daze for a while, before lowering her head and devastatingly saying, "I'm sorry, Boss Mag. I have sinned." Mag looked at Cynthia, who lowered her head in despair, and smiled. Who could have thought that this harmless-looking maiden had just rejected Delmar's invitation and gave him a blow at the source of his sin? This event has indeed caused some trouble for me. Mag nodded. I want to take this book down, but the boss of the editorial agency has no conscience and refuses to, Cynthia said with a desperate expression. I don't know what to do now. Mag told Cynthia, I need you to help me do one thing. After that, I won't pursue your mistake anymore. What is it? Cynthia looked up at Mag. Many thoughts flashed across her mind and one shameful thought suddenly popped into her mind. She said with a blush, I'll do whatever you say, as long as you can forgive me. Even if I have to give myself to you. I'm not that kind of person. Mag raised his hand to stop Cynthia from continuing on that topic. Cynthia flicked a glance at Mag. She felt a mild inexplicable disappointment while feeling relief at the same time. The plot in the novel seemed to be different. A chance to get together alone seemed to be prepared for the two of them to get to know each other better. Although this matter is caused by your novel, the terrible ones are those people who forcefully connect the novel and reality and do everything to promote it. Mag took 2 steps closer to Cynthia and continued to talk to her in a low voice. About 10 minutes later, Cynthia left the alley from the other end. She went to collect her things from the motel first before going home. Meanwhile, Mag went straight to Delmar Publishing House, but he had changed into another face and another identity this time. Please take a seat, Mr. Leff. I didn't expect you would come to Chaos City personally. I'm really flattered. Delmar welcomed Mag and got him to sit on the sofa with a fawning smile. Mr. Delmar, I'm here to talk about a collaboration, so let's get straight to the point. I'm very satisfied with your publishing house's boss Mag's indecent little wife and would like to collaborate with you on this novel. Our Rant Publishing House will pay you a handsome copyright royalty and 40% of the profit. Mag leaned against the sofa and said to Delmar arrogantly, You should know about the potential of our Rant Publishing House. Yes, yes, yes. Rant Publishing House is a very famous publishing house in the Roth Empire and even across the entire Norland continent. It's our honor to work with you. Delmar nodded profusely and his smile became even more fawning. However, he still gingerly said, But, Mr. Leff, may I ask what is the exact amount of this collaboration? Can you just tell me a little more, please? You know that it's hard to find good books on the market now. A few publishing houses have already contacted me, but I haven't replied to them yet. You're very cunning. Mag gave him a meaningful look. Delmar smiled sheepishly and felt cold sweat dripping down his back. He was just lamenting over the loss of a big client yesterday, and yet a real big shot came today. Different from the unknown publishing house that he had never even heard of before yesterday, Rant Publishing House was a very famous publishing house in the Roth Empire. Apparently, it was one of the top 5 publishing houses in the Norland continent. This was the knowledge that he had frantically absorbed in the past 2 days. He had spent a big sum of money to find out about the latest publishing houses' rankings from the Information Center, so that he could find a reliable working partner. Rant Publishing House was one of them. If your publishing house can ensure the quality of the novels, I will pay you 20 million copper coins as the issue royalties for the whole of the Norland continent in the promotional phase. Our publishing house will publish the first 5 novels and the latest novel as a series of 3 mid-length novels. We will print 1 million copies first and then serialize it in the form of sequels. Mag looked at Delmar. What do you think of that? Excellent. Excellent. Delmar grinned from ear to ear. It was indeed a big publishing house. He offered 20 million immediately and would actually print 1 million copies in the very first edition. They only dared to print 50,000 copies of Boss Mag's Indecent Little Wife because a big boss behind the scene promised to buy the leftovers if the book failed to sell. They didn't expect that it would be so popular. Shall we talk about the contract then? Delmar asked testingly. This happiness came too suddenly and he was a little high from it. He could only think about how to confirm the deal with Leff and earn the 20 million first. If the 1 million copies were sold, he could earn an estimate of tens of thousands and reach the pinnacle of his life immediately. His publishing house was only ordinary among the Chaos City's publishing houses, and he was often laughed at by his peers. This time, he wanted everyone to look up at him. I have already brought the contract with me. It's the standard contract that our publishing house always uses. I'll get my secretary to amend it and we'll be able to use it immediately. Mag took a contract out from his bag and passed it over. You have everything prepared. Delmar flattered him as he took the contract and read it carefully. Just as Mag said, the licensing fee was 20 million copper coins and it would be paid to him in installments. The down payment was 5 million copper coins and the rest would be paid within 1 year. And the sharing of the 40% profit was also clearly written in the contract. Delmar couldn't help but lament on the generosity of his fellow publisher when he read the contract. He was as generous as a sucker. However, when he reached the second last page, a clause attracted Delmar's attention. He frowned and pondered for a while before asking Mag, "Mr. Lev, I don't think this clause of the guarantor paying a triple penalty for breaching the contract is necessary. We collaborate honestly, so why would we breach the contract?" Mag crossed his arms and looked at him judgingly. "Since we won't breach the contract, then there's no need for you to worry about this clause, right? According to the publishing house's rules, we have to write down the breach of contracts clause whenever we pay the fees in advance, and we have to have a guarantor who can undertake the risk. If you are not sincere, let's call off the collaboration. We have to follow the rules and regulations." "No, no. Please rest assured." Delmar smiled forcefully. He only wiped away his cold sweat after he sent Mag away. At first, he intended to just get any Tom, Dick, or Harry to be the guarantor. Mr. Lev came from Rodu, so he wouldn't know the locals well. However, his final warning made him give up on that idea. How could a boss of one of the top 5 publishing houses in the Norland continent not have any subordinates in Chaos City? This really couldn't be perfunctory. Where can I find a wealthy guarantor? Delmar sat on his chair and scratched his head hard. It was giving him a headache. "Boss, Mr. Cyril is looking for you," the secretary said from behind the door. "Cyril?" Delmar's eyes glowed. How could he have forgotten about him? Delmar quickly said, "Invite him in immediately." Delmar got up to open the door and Cyril walked in with a smile. "Mr. Delmar, long time no see. I heard that you got rich recently. Thanks to you, I have made some money." Delmar got Cyril to take a seat with a humble smile before closing the door. Cyril sat on the sofa, crossed his legs and smilingly said, "That's right. You wouldn't have released such a popular book if not for me. So, how should you thank me?" Delmar's smile became stiff. He only wanted to sound polite, but didn't expect Cyril to insist on it. Although Cyril had helped make this novel popular, he didn't ask about profit sharing previously. Of course, there's no way he would spit out the profit now. However, Delmar needed to ask him for help, so after some quick thinking, he said through clenched teeth, "I still have to thank you for it. There's also a good business deal that I want to do with you." "Oh? What's the good deal?" Cyril's interest was piqued and he asked Delmar. He had completely fallen out of favor after returning to Chaos City from Rodu. His identity as the successor was removed and he was just an idle person now. If the matriarch had not secretly helped him out, he couldn't even afford to ride in the horse-drawn carriage now. He couldn't take that lying down, so he scammed some money from his mother and then borrowed some from his wayward friends to promote Boss Mag's indecent little wife and spread rumors at all the storytelling houses. He had successfully maligned Mag. He had come to Delmar today to get him to release a sequel, Boss Mag and Blue Suede's Lady Boss Dirty Little Secret. He wanted to destroy Gloria. He wanted Mag and Gloria to be despised so that the Moreton family's inheritance rights would return to him. However, the lack of money was still a big problem for him. Other than getting Delmar to release another book, he also intended to get some money back from him. Delmar was making a killing, so there was no reason for him to make a loss. Boss Mag's indecent little wife became popular and all the Rodeu's publishing houses came looking for me. They want me to give them the licensing rights and they will pay a licensing fee. Delmar told Cyril about Mag's visit and issued him his invitation. How much did you say it was? Cyril stared at Delmar with widened eyes. 20,000,000, Delmar said. F***ck. You're rich. Cyril almost jumped up from his chair. He had never expected a novel could earn so much money. This collaboration is at its final stage of negotiation. We just have to follow the procedures of their publishing house. I still need a guarantor, and I will naturally look for you when I have such good deals. I intend to give you a share if you are the guarantor. I'll give you 5 million copper coins as payment after the deal is successful, Delmar said with a smile. 5 million copper coins. Cyril murmured. He seemed to look like he thought it was too little, but in fact, he was inwardly ecstatic. It was enough for him to splurge for some time. Delmar added on and said, "Didn't you want that Boss Mag to have a rotten reputation?" The boss of Rant Publishing House said that he's going to print 1 million for the first print. After these 1 million copies are sold, his reputation will be completely down the drain. He cannot even come back from it. Are there really going to be 1 million copies? Cyril's eyes lit up and he went closer to Delmar. Then can I add one more character to the book? This novel isn't completed yet, so feel free to add in any characters. Delmar nodded with a chuckle. I want to add in the blue suede fashions lady boss, Gloria. Cyril smiled. Delmar became wide-eyed as he gulped. Isn't that your niece? Cyril smilingly said, yes, it's her. I want her reputation to go down the drain too. This. Delmar was put in a tight spot. He wasn't stupid. He knew Gloria's identity. That was the person in charge of the Moreton family right now. She was the rising star in the Chaos City's business world and a future business mogul. He dared to encourage Cynthia to write about Mag because he was just a restaurant's boss, who only knew how to cook and had no power. He couldn't do anything to him even if he antagonized him. But the Moreton family was different. They could destroy him with just one finger. Don't worry. As long as you can destroy her reputation, she has to leave the position of being the head of the family. I'll then be the head of the Moreton family and I'll protect you. Cyril patted his chest and promised. You're right. You're right. Delmar agreed with a smile, but he didn't believe it inwardly. I don't want others to write it. It still has to be Northwestern Lone Wolf, Cyril said. Sure, sure. Delmar agreed repeatedly. What do you think about the guarantor issue? Where will you guys sign the contract? I agreed to meet him tomorrow morning. Then, I'll come over tomorrow morning. All right. See you tomorrow then. Delmar sent Cyril out with a smile before saying to the secretary, get the horse-drawn carriage ready, I need to go out. Soon after, Delmar boarded the horse-drawn carriage with the female editor and headed straight for the Northwestern Lone Wolf's home. In the carriage, Delmar sternly said to the female editor, no matter what, you have to let me meet her today. If you can make her agree to my terms, you will be promoted to chief editor immediately. If the deal fails, you'll be fired. All right. The female editor got off the horse-drawn carriage with an aggrieved expression. She recollected herself in front of the door for some time. Just as she was going to knock on the door, it was opened from the inside. Come on in. A voice rang out from within.